Ever wondered what makes TV so powerful in Jamaica? Time to find out. Welcome to Global TV Group 358, where television meets innovation. We're not just about shows, we're about shaping society. In Jamaica, TV keeps you informed, connects diverse voices, and supports democracy. Imagine a Jamaica where broadcasters unite, sharing data and collaborating globally. That's us, a unified voice in the TV industry. Did you know TV advertising is still king? It drives website traffic, boosts brand equity, and powers integrated campaigns. Even in an age of digital, TV stands strong, resilient in tough times. Our Global TV Deck is your treasure trove of insights and data. With charts, graphs, and success stories, it's your guide to impactful TV advertising. Curious to learn more? Visit our website and see how Global TV Group 358 keeps television at the heart of entertainment in Jamaica. Get ready to binge watch the future.
Can't hold me again. You can't hold me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy skin and we can't buy time. You can't hold me again. Can't hold me again. You can't hold me again. Hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a result to crime. You can't hold me again.
What we go to eat the money, what we at you, in no at you. COVID money, me say we in the year, look at you. You say you the money, Mr. Mustamante statue. Say me like a catch you, but they got in a figure you. Take this bit of money, God, and say that is not you. One day, the man above and up, him not got up. But it in the kitchen, some of my like a patu. When singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It on me.
300% praise.
It on me.
Garbage pile up the day.
It on me.
Give the teacher them raise.
It on me.
I see corruption please.
It on me.
Mash down the people them house.
It on me.
Every day appear arms out.
It on me.
Appear money them a thief.
It on me.
And them a sell out the beach.
Can't hold me again. You can't hold me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy skin and we can't buy time. You can't hold me again. Can't hold me again. You can't hold me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a result to crime. You can't hold me again.
Come me say big up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me no make a bigger. The urgent the promises, none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth, the rapper, they go in a whatever. Them a bowl only and they like them tell. Corruption smell and the pocket them smell. When police don't a market like Satan, not a hell go mash up. People start that thief for themselves.
It on me.
On the chili market man.
It on me.
On them a treat the cat man.
It on me.
On the treat the peanut man.
It on me.
On them a treat the dirt man.
It on me.
On them a treat the son man.
It on me.
On them a treat policeman.
It on me.
How them a treat soldier man.
It on me.
How them a treat everyone.
Can't hold me again. You can't hold me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy skin and we can't buy time. You can't hold me again.
Oh, thy peace, God of my salvation, because the mouth of the sinful and wicked is open. Rastafari. Come with I. Rastaman throw one stone, and it pick a bad feeling to all wicked men. That's a people there. Make him a throw and stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Only when man like Marcus Garvey speak, wicked men would I hear. Hear now hear. Instead of that, they only sit aside and rub and cheat, and not first of all, make up what I seen him. Make him a throw and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a plan! Make him a throw and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. So, my favorite man, if Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men men are red. I. How they want to see. They didn't can sell out Rasta. Can't sell it out. I sell out Babylon. They give man show and stone. And they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. They give man show and stone. And they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. If Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see. They can sell out Rasta. I sell out. I sell out Babylon. Yes, stop on the Friday. You might show and stone. And they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black thing. Man, show and stone. And they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men.
Good night and welcome to Global TV Election Debate. The day is here and we are only an hour away. Tonight is the leadership debate which we've all been waiting for. We only have an hour to go. Will the Prime Minister be able to withstand the force of Mark Golden tonight, coming up against his integrity? Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We're having our watch hour before the debates start. Good evening, and welcome. Sharon Bernard, good evening. Barbara Simpson, RJ, Simone Beckford, good evening. Sunshine. Athena Parchment, good evening. Esna Parchment, yes. Who else is here? Violet Watson, good evening. Avina Cody, good evening. Gloria Morris, Judy Roberts, Marcia Essay, good evening. Norman Ferguson, good evening. Marjorie Lewis, good evening. Good evening and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Daphne Jackson, good evening. Who else is here? Althea Buck, good evening. Janice Lewis. Which one of my moderator changed their name? Kate M, good evening. Janice Lewis. Which of my moderator changed their name? I don't recognize this moderator. Janice Lewis, who are you? Who are Janice Lewis? Oh, okay, Tash. Welcome, long time. Wagwan. Right, everybody. What are your thoughts for tonight? What are the questions? Karen Nemart, good evening. What are the questions are you hoping that will arise from whether it be the panel, social media, or indeed when both leaders get the chance to pose a question to each other. What do you think it will be? Given that the Prime Minister cannot walk out of the debate like he walked out of Parliament on Market G, how do you think he will fare off tonight? Because that's quite a big thing tonight, is the temperament of the Prime Minister. We are wondering how the Prime Minister will temper through. Ladybug, how are you? How Andrew Holness will temper through the onslaught this evening, because given that it's leadership, there is going to be an awful lot of Andrew Holness integrity and the lack thereof, Kate M. And the lack thereof coming up. My question to Andrew, what do you tell the man? Andrew, do you like when the Lord, that student, I could swear I downloaded the video yesterday, or I don't know if I did. When that student did take him on over the NIDS, and then after I try and yam after the student head, then another student get up and take him to task decently and tell him that him should apologize to the young man. Oh, hold on. May I go try alter it and get it in a studio to ask you all the question. Do you think this is the demeanor that the Prime Minister will display this evening in public? Canada, he can't hold in temper, you know. You know, it's not a man who can really answer question without getting angry if the question is not up his street. So his attitude and behavior is really in focus this evening. Alti Nicholson, good evening, good evening. Suzette, how are you? All of that will be in focus this evening. So we, the globalists and the entire Jamaica, cannot wait for this debate to start to see how the Prime Minister will fare through. The Prime Minister doesn't have what it takes to face a leadership debate, given how miserably the Prime Minister teams in the two previous debates performed. Then we expect pretty much the same trend in tonight's debate. Because even before the debate, may I call it for Market G. And the reason why I'm calling it for Market G is that the trend, what we see the debate going, you cannot see on which the one that we expect to be the worst, Janet Brissett, how are you, or the most agonizing will be any better than the two failed one. So that is one of the things we're looking for. But let's bring in the Prime Minister's behavior and see if, hold on. Let us remind you of how a question, I wonder if I'm going to cheat the debate of them so tonight. How when the Prime Minister Barbara Simpson gets a question that really doesn't go the Prime Minister way, the Prime Minister can really jump out and skin within a minute.
Good night, everyone. My name is Daniel Thomas. My issue that I would like to raise at this time is with respect to needs. We are not against the national ID. In its current form, it poses significant issues for many Jamaicans. 60,000 Jamaicans here and abroad who feel that there needs to be more consultation, ventilation of the issues, pros and cons. Withdraw the bill. Allow for proper ventilation of issues over a 3-month period, even town hall meetings and joint select committee where we can properly speak about the many issues that are in the bill. We're not against the bill, but we are for the country of Jamaica moving forward.
Thanks. Well, I'm very happy that we find common ground, being that we are both for the country moving forward.
You already asked.
You've asked the question.
No, you already asked.
Oh, it was rhetorical. Okay, fine. Like many other things, it's rhetorical. Fine. What's new? You talk about consultation. You know what I reject? Do you know what I reject? I reject the view that somehow you have a higher moral authority on this matter than I do. I'm not here to create a system that is going to deprive Jamaicans of their freedom. And you know what else?
But the bill
I am not hiding from consultation. I am here facing the questions. Unlike most, I am facing the questions and answering them.
A few moments later.
My name is Glendon Martin. I am a student of the University of Technology. What I have to say, well, I have a comment actually. The gentleman that asked the question on NIDS, Mr. Prime Minister, I was taken aback by the way you responded to the question. I felt that you came across too strong. I was listening to you. I was saying, should I go and ask this gentleman a question? Will he answer me in the same tone that he answered the young man? And what I want to say and what I want to see in Jamaica or overall with politics is that our politicians behave sometimes, even in parliament, when you see them jumping over, arguing with each other. Our young people are looking at this and they're saying this is something that is right because the politicians, the leaders of our country, this is something that they do. So, Mr. Prime Minister, I would like for you to, first of all, apologize on the way you responded to the question. And secondly, allow me to finish, please.
I wonder, just wonder, if Wholeness will get into that rage tonight when a question is put to him and he thinks somebody else, Mr. Cool and Deadly, good evening, has a higher moral authority on the issue than him. So, if the debater them don't want him getting a hissy fit this evening, don't behave like them have a higher moral authority than the Prime Minister, because if that is the case, the Prime Minister may just get out of his skin. But as you know, we're having election watch night. We're having, or not election watch night, we're having, or what's you call it, or debate watch hour. In less than an hour, or just within an hour, the debate will get underway. Tonight are the two leaders of both political parties on the issue of leadership. We expect Mark Golding to take Andrew Holness to task tonight, given the plethora of corruption. Office of the Registrar General Family, RGD, hit by cyber attack. You soon hear the Electoral Commission hit by a cyber attack too. You soon hear the electoral office and the Prime Minister office hit by cyber attack. Roslyn, good evening. Never personal trained. Hold on there. I could just fig through things. PSAJ wants implementation plan for party income tax promise. Me know Wholeness can do that. I mean, I know if I met Siaga, a question Mr. Golden and a question Andrew Wholeness. Because literally, Andrew Wholeness is just clutching at straw. Why the Gleaner them think this is a story to write about? Why the Gleaner think Darrell Vaz with one Bakla rum in him hand is something to write about? You see how these people waste time? Tonight, the two big corruption will be SSL and Andrew integrity when it comes to what Mark Golding have to batter him with. And Andrew is just going to mainly focus on FinSac. He might go zoom in, Colin, how you do? He might go zoom in on FinSac and he might go zoom in. I don't know how deep he might go in a traffic guru, but he might go zoom in on FinSac. EOJ refers St. Catherine South Central polling dispute to ECJ. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica has referred a contentious matter involving the relocation of 7 polling divisions in St. Catherine South of the Electoral Commission of Jamaica for ruling. The situation which some voters fear could suppress vote in the constituency has triggered anxiety among residents who recall episodes of political violence in areas during the past election. So you see Andrew start already? You see Andrew start moving polling station. Franca's resident charged with murder now. You see Andrew start the corruption already, don't? Because Andrew don't think he should step away fair and square losing the election. Because the momentum across the country, Andrew and the Jamaica Labour Party is going to lose. You know, here, Blood and Fire, Comrade Alla playing a dance, Andrew. Evening a dance, Blood and Fire, Comrade, a play. This is for show you how the Jamaica Labour Party is over. But all the Prime Minister do this evening, just try to get through the thing without irritating us. Because literally, debating accountability, transparency, it's just not going to fare off good for Andrew Wholeness this evening. Colin Richards, how are you? It's just not going to fare off good for the Prime Minister this evening. JTA gets improved wage offer from the government. This is a scam by Andrew Wholeness to get what police in Montego Bay, if you go Kingston, go vote, what can go so? So Andrew tried to frustrate the thing because of Andrew and Gasol Brown in charge, you know. So look like them are frustrate the thing, moving polling station around at this critical juncture when people turn up what they would have thought to be the usual polling station where they vote all the while. No amount of trickery, though, will allow Andrew Holness to win this election. The people of Jamaica is fed up of him, has had enough of the bad governance and the corruption, the wasteful spending, the fraudulent procurement where they might use and suck out public resources. I mean, a lot of people across the country, even though they may not talk because they're afraid of the dictator, they will show the Prime Minister on the 3rd. They will show him next Wednesday that we have had enough. And we have seen better policy coming from Mark Golding and his team. And we wish to give that a try and take Jamaica into that direction, because what you have promised, you really have not delivered. Businessman charged over alleged beating man with board in Black River. Hold on there. St. Elizabeth police have charged a man for the wounding of another man in a supermarket on Bridge Street, Black River, in the parish. Then when the charge of unlawful wounding, assault occasioned bodily harm, Davian Legister, otherwise known as Donny Boy, a businessman from Logwood. Okay. Policeman being investigated for girlfriend shooting. But it will be a massacre tonight. It certainly will be a massacre. This is ISAT's heat for Portland, ISAT manifesto for East Portland. Let me pull it up on my phone and see if I can see this thing. Where is the H? Where is the H? Hold on. Am I at the H? Yes. The H. Upgrade Port Antonio Hospital from Type C to Type B. Housing development and land distribution. Provide affordable housing and land for the landless. Distribute titles to landowners still awaiting them. Upgrade infrastructure in Norwich Heights. Identify lands for NHT housing project. 500,000 grant for young East Portland homemaker. Rent to home scheme for those unable to purchase immediately. Should be rent to own. Harnessing access for basic services. Universal access to water, roads, and electricity. Revisit catchment at our Chocho Walk, Vine, Nonsuch district, that's what their name, to Clear Spring. Address portable water shortness with public-private partnership. So that's ISAT's H in the heat. Hold on there. Let's go to the E. Let's go to the E. Entertainment and creative industry. Create entertainment zone to grow art and culture. Designate fully as main entertainment zone. Retrofit Boston playing ground as a second zone for football. Education, his plans for education. Shift system in Port Antonio Primary School, the Boundbrook Primary and Port Antonio High. First child in each household will get full tertiary scholarship. Strengthen early childhood institution with resources and training. Case to become UK's Portland first university. Provide electronic device for all students. So that's his plan for education. Now his plan for employment of youths and development. Create youth opportunities through education, training, and jobs. Focus on digital market, coding, content creation, performing arts, farming, student development, and entrepreneurship. Let's go for the A in Heath. Where are we? So first in A is agriculture. Boost agricultural productivity in Eastern Portland. Promote tilapia farming for new farmers. Build Portland-based cold storage facility for disaster resilience. Support onion and Irish potato farming, reducing fertilizer costs. Strengthen RADA partnership, land prep tractor service, broiler start program for poultry farmers, establish egg storage factory and for Eastern Portland production. Advancing infrastructure. Upgrade roads, transport, and public facilities. Modernize and expand bus terminal in partnership with local authorities. Fast track rebuilding of Port Antonio Market. Advancing quality living for all. Make East Portland safe, peaceful, and welcoming for residents and returnees. Let's move over to the T. Where are we? Wagwan, Carlos. Me there sit down and wait on the debate to start. Me just go to ISAT manifesto for East Portland. Sit down and wait for Andrew crucifixion. Me don't know if anywhere gonna be like who did help Jesus carry the cross? If anybody are gonna help Andrew carry the cross tonight, because he certainly have a cross to bear tonight, you know. Lord Jesus, I just awaited the question them thought come in. Tourism. Reopen JTB office in Port Antonio. Nature tourism. promote East Portland natural attraction and outdoor activities, ecotourism, focus on the Anchovy Sansan Belt as eco-friendly strip, rehabilitate roads to attract cottage and hostel rather, create tourism market website for accommodation, form local oversight committee for tourism product, submit tourist report to Parliament. So that is the heat that Isaac Buchanan is bringing to the people of East Portland. Development, meaningful development that you have not seen under the vases. So when you go to the poll on Wednesday, if you want better for your community, then you ought to elect the more competent of the two candidates. You ought to elect the more competent of the two candidates. And I don't think or see where Lady Dancing Queen is in any way a competent person to match up with what Isaac Buchanan brings. So if you, the people of East Portland, want better, then you must choose Isaac Buchanan. The same goes on the national scale. It is your job to choose a leader who you can trust. It is your job to choose a leader with integrity. It is your job to choose a leader that respects the law. It is your job to choose a leader that respects the life of your children. Christine Gilbert, Keith Matthews, how are you? It is your job to elect a leader who can spend the resources of your country and develop your social life rather than enrich themselves. That is your job. And if you want better after the election, your job is to elect the right leader. You have to weigh up what you've had over the last 9 years and tell yourself or ask yourself, have I benefited anything here? And can I really go any further in this here? These are the questions you must ask yourself. Has Andrew Holness got the credibility to be re-elected to lead this country in another 5 years? Is our public resources safe with Andrew Holness? Is the life of your children, particularly your son, safe with Andrew Holness? If given another 5 years, will your son make it through Andrew Holness' 5-year reign? Those are a lot of the questions that to be asking yourself when you weigh up the decision, because you're making a decision for a lifetime. This is one of the most consequential elections we have ever had in Jamaica. And as you hear, you don't want to have Andrew Holness at the helm of Jamaica when they start to push the 2030 agenda. You want a leader who can conversate with the people, who can inform the people and not pull a wool over the people's eyes or not turning into a dictator overnight on the people. That's the type of leadership you would want going forward. when you go to the polls, you must also remember how you were treated in COVID by Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Labour Party. How they starved you, how they've locked you down, how they've charged you extortionate money for breaking the COVID rules. Will you want Andrew Holness, given the experience you have of Andrew Holness in COVID, will you want Andrew Holness to be enforcing another pandemic rules on you? Will you want Andrew Holness to be the Prime Minister that is pushing the UN and the Jewish 2030 agenda? Those are the things that you must consider when you go to the polls, because the life of your democracy hangs in the balance of this election. The future of your children hang in the balance of this election. And it is only by making the right choice that our country will move into a progressive direction. If you don't make the right choice, you will have to be prepared to live with the consequences for another 5 years. Another 5 years which your son probably will not make it through, because we would expect Andrew Holness to turn up his shoot to kill policy. So if you want to spare the life of your children, then you must choose otherwise. I think the writing is on the wall that Andrew Holness, not only that he's corrupt, not only that he's a criminal, not only that he's a thief, not only that he has no integrity, the Prime Minister is not suitable to continue to lead our country. He has failed miserably on many things that he promised. We won't even talk about the sleep with windows and door open. That was purely a gimmick. But prosperity, you could have, in the good economy that we have, or what you claim that we have, you could have delivered prosperity. Because the 300% that you all gave yourself, maybe if you had delivered a 3.5 as what Mark Golden is coming with now, then you could be very much confident of your third term, because that would be a way, Prime Minister, of sharing the prosperity that you promised. That would be a way of sharing the prosperity that you promised, but you didn't get around to it at all. That's why Rosie Hamilton told us it was a careful plan by you all to disrespect the voters after Una get into power. And we see that even the base of the Labour Party, you have turned your back on. And now you run around the country all sort of clock at night, trying to shore up seats, knowing that you have damaged the party right across the country. But it's a good thing. It is a good thing. Because if you go check Jamaica people, like how you check in a 2020 and get such a victory, where all you do with that power is use it against us. It would have been more terrible to give you a third term. But people of Jamaica, you must get rid of Andrew Holness. Andrew Holness, your future, your children's future is not safe with him. The resources of your country is not safe with Andrew Holness and Darrell Vaz and Juliet Holness. It's just not. It is your task to make sure we take back our country's wealth and power. In 2020, we gave too much power to Andrew Holness. And what Andrew Holness did is use it against us in the most dangerous of ways. Use it against us in the most dangerous of ways. He used it to destruct the office of the political ombudsman, an office which at this point is very relevant to all of the discrepancies and contention that is going on. But nobody pretty much know who to complain to. You cannot continue with Andrew Holness. We have not seen the benefit. There is nothing that is going to happen in the next 5 years, Jamaica, that will benefit any of you. The Prime Minister has used 8 years, Beverly Morgan, good evening. The Prime Minister uses 8 years to do nothing. And now that election is coming, the Prime Minister busily running around trying to fool the electorate that I am doing something. We are out here and we see every day Andrew Holness literally has done nothing and running around now trying to look like, oh, we are doing something, so give us the chance. Give us another year, another 5 year rather, so we can complete. The lady with the one is dead, so him out 1 and 2 p.m. searching for her. Mm-hmm. The Prime Minister became a rolling calf in our country in violation of the noise abatement rules. So no rule in our country no apply to Andrew Holness, especially when the Prime Minister is in a desperate place. When the Golden administration takes charge of the country, I would love to see our natural resources nationalized. I support that. I really support that because there's a lot more money what we can bring into the coffers if we own we think them and I get the money off of them rather than it look like we just a keep and care backside goal and all sort for these people, you know. So I do support nationalize our resources, but it takes radical leader. It takes a very radical leader. Miranda Rudder, good evening. It takes very radical leadership to do that. Leadership that is willing to stick up 2 fingers at the West and foster partnership in the East and all of that. But until we do something like that or renegotiate, we're still going to have our resources been dug out and we not benefiting anything out of it. We have just about half an hour before debate come a road. Let us remind you of the Prime Minister's anger and rage again and wonder if this will be the overtone where the Prime Minister come with tonight, like we see him treat this student.
Good night, everyone. My name is Daniel Thomas. My issue that I would like to raise at this time is with respect to NIDS. We are not against a national ID. In its current form, it poses significant issues for many Jamaicans. 60,000 Jamaicans here and abroad who feel that there needs to be more consultation, ventilation of the issues, pros and cons. Withdraw the bill, allow for proper ventilation of the issues over a 3-month period, even town hall meetings and joint select committee where we can properly speak about the many issues that are in the bill. We're not against the bill, but we are for the country of Jamaica moving forward.
Thanks.
Well, I'm very happy that we find common ground, being that we are both for the country moving forward.
You already asked.
We've asked
It's
the question.
rhetorical.
No, you already
Oh,
asked.
it was
I'm sorry.
rhetorical. Okay, fine. Like many other things, it's rhetorical. Fine. What's new? You talk about consultation. You know what I reject? Do you know what I reject? I reject the view that somehow you have a higher moral authority on this matter than I do. I'm not here to create a system that is going to deprive Jamaicans of their freedom. And you know what else?
But the bill
I am not hiding from consultation. I am here facing the questions. Unlike most, I am facing the questions and answering them.
A few moments later.
My name is Glendon Martin. I am a student of the University of Technology. What I have to say, well, I have a comment actually. The gentleman that asked the question on NIDS, Mr. Prime Minister, I was taken aback by the way you responded to the question. I felt that you came across too strong. I was listening to you. I was saying, should I go and ask this gentleman a question? Will he answer me in the same tone that he answered the young man? And what I want to say and what I want to see in Jamaica or overall with politics is that our politicians behave sometimes, even in parliament, when you see them jumping over, arguing with each other. Our young people are looking at this and they're saying this is something that is right because the politicians, the leaders of our country, this is something that they do. So, Mr. Prime Minister, I would like for you to, first of all, apologize on the way you responded to the question. And secondly, allow me to finish, please.
Will the Prime Minister get that angry tonight? Will the Prime Minister, when his skin is gotten under, Robert Wright, good evening. When Mark Golden gets under the Prime Minister's skin tonight, do you think the Prime Minister will manage to stay calm? Or is it that Andrew Holness will do what Andrew Holness does? Thus get into a rage and tantrum. What are you expecting from the Prime Minister tonight? What are you expecting from the leader of the opposition, Evan Riley? Good evening. Vern Adams, how you doing? What are you expecting tonight? And are you calling the winner before the debate even started? If we were in the UK, Beverly Morgan, we would be betting on horses this evening as to who really is going to take the debate tonight. And going on the direction the debate has already gone in. No, Mr. Wynn, fire will come out of his nostril. Wait, the fire will come out of the Prime Minister nostril this evening. No, sir. I don't want to stand up anywhere too near Andrew because the steam, Liam McIntyre, how are you? The steam will come off for Andrew this evening. Me no want to touch me because he's going to be really worked up. Because just like, remember the 2024, wasn't it? 2024 election debate when Mark Golden calmly gets under his skin and him couldn't take it no more. One of them people need to stay in the audience and control him by signs. Anytime them see him, I go lose him cool. Anytime they see him, I go lose him cool. Joan Genius, good evening. Somebody, Michael Nepper, will have to pull the Prime Minister back in line and remind the Prime Minister that your temper could make you lose this debate this evening, you know, Prime Minister. But then again, Andrew Holness don't take marching orders from nobody. He is a crazy beast all by himself. So, him can just mess it up this evening. Let me take a quick break and go make myself a tea, peeps.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy skin and we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. Hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You that chop line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
What we go to eat the money, what we at you, in no at you. COVID money, miss you, we either you look or at you. You say you the money, miss the most amount is that you. Say we like a catch you, but we got in a figure you. Take this kid of money, God, and say that is not you. And the head, the man, I'm moving up, him not got up. But it in the kitchen, some of my like a part two. My singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It on me.
300%
It on me.
Garbage pile up the day.
It on me.
Give the teacher them race.
It on me.
I see corruption, please.
It on me.
Mash down the people, them house.
It on me.
Every day appear arms out.
It on me.
Appear money, them a thief.
It on me.
And them a sell out the beach.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy skin and we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You that chop line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
For me say big up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me no make a bigger. They already promise it, none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth, they rough and they go in our river. Them a bowl only and they like them tell. Corruption smell and they pocket them swell. When police dog a market like Satan out of hell go mash up. People start not thief for themselves.
It on me.
On the TV market man.
It on me.
On them a treat the cat man.
It on me.
On them treat the peanut man.
It on me.
On them a treat the dirt man.
It on me.
On them a treat the son man.
It on me.
On them a treat policeman.
It on me.
How them a treat soldier man.
It on me.
How them a treat everyone.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again.
Let us remind you of the Prime Minister's
the movement of millions of dollars among 3 companies associated with the Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness. Andrea Chisholm has been reading the report and now joins us live. Andrea?
Well, Janella, the update comes as the long-awaited Integrity Commission report on the Prime Minister's statutory declarations was tabled Tuesday in the House of Representatives. Now, we must point out that the report is 171 pages, so we're still going through the details. Plus, there's a special report as well as an addendum and other details. Now, the report showed that the Integrity Commission was mainly focused on 3 companies associated with the Prime Minister. The 3 companies that form part of the Integrity Commission's probe are Estate Bridge Development Company Limited, Imperium Investments Holdings Limited, and Positive Media Solutions Limited. All 3 are linked to Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Due to the complexity of the matter, the Integrity Commission hired an independent forensic examiner to assess the financial transactions between the 3 companies and determine the true value of the investments. The authorities looked at bank statements involving the 3 companies. Those bank accounts were held at 3 financial institutions: the National Commercial Bank NCB, NCB Capital Markets, and Barita. Now, intercompany deposits among the 3 companies linked to the Prime Minister totaled roughly $473.2 million. Intercompany withdrawals amounted to roughly $427.2 million. That's for the period 2020 to June 2023. The Integrity Commission said records submitted for Imperium and the explanations from Dr. Holness do not fully account for the transactions. In addition, financial statements and other documentation from Imperium do not account for the movement of over $72 million from Positive Media to Imperium. Likewise, the management accounts of Positive Media and other documentation submitted to the Commission do not account for the amounts advanced to Imperium. Now, there's also an interesting development with the tax authorities. Tax Administration Jamaica indicated that Imperium filed a nil tax return for 2021 and 2022, meaning the business did not declare any income or expenses on the form. However, Imperium earned over $5.1 million in 2021 and over $6.5 million in 2022 in dividend, exchange gains, interest, and other income. Expenses for Imperium in 2021 were roughly $9.8 million, and for 2022, roughly $9.5 million. Estate Bridge also filed a nil tax return for 2021. However, interest income was over $1 million. The Integrity Commission is therefore urging Parliament to support the matter being referred to the Financial Investigations Division, FID. The Commission says there can be no finality in the matter until the FID has completed its work.
I want to make some clarification for supporters of the Jamaica Labour Party who always go around and said the Integrity Commission found nothing against the Prime Minister. That's not true. That is not true. The Integrity Commission are at their wit end as to how far they can dig into the Prime Minister. Hence is why the Integrity Commission referred the Prime Minister to FID and TAJ to be investigated. The forensic report cannot or rightfully should not be released to the public until FID and TAJ carry out their investigation, because that report is important to their investigation as well. So when labor rights keep going around and said the Integrity Commission found nothing on the Prime Minister, It is not true. They found an awful lot, to the point where it goes over their competency of investigation. That is what is really happening. There was so much that the Prime Minister wasn't able to explain or account for, to the fact that it looks criminal. That is what actually happened. Them now go explain it so to no, but I really saw it go. There's too much. And that is why they say this is above our competencies. This need financial investigators, those who investigate financial crimes will have to look into this. This is how serious it is, members of the Jamaica Labour Party. So don't keep going around saying, and I wonder if the Prime Minister tonight will go on that the integrity is on a witch hunt against him. If the Prime Minister planned to go down that road tonight, I would advise him not to. If the Prime Minister is planning to go down that road tonight, I would advise him, do not. I don't think it would fare you off well. You going after the Integrity Commission tonight because that question of your integrity is going to come up. You going after the integrity tonight, Prime Minister, will not do you any good whatsoever.
Every person wants to build a home for themselves and their family. I come from England, and we were saying an Englishman's home is his castle. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I don't know what the big to-do is about. The casting of aspersions and innuendos. It's typical of the PNP. It's the PNP mentality. It is a crab in the barrel mentality. Again, it's the poor mentality. We can't all be rich, so we all should be poor. It is the socialist mentality. It is the grudgeful and bad mind mentality.
I wonder if like how Favor will come with the lies, 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 all lies. I wonder if the Prime Minister will come with the bad mind and grudgeful tonight.
That's what it is. It is, and the people, I tell you the honest truth about this thing. People who are criticizing me for building a house don't know that I literally build. And I've been building now for 4 years. I think what it shows is a capacity to do things and do them well. To think big and build big. I hate people talking about people who work hard, who have never worked hard themselves, who have never one day put one block on top of another and built anything. Right? Yeah, you can love everybody, but at the end of the day, you can't eat love, right? And you can't live in it. People have to be able to execute, build, construct, create, be industrious. These are also important values. And what I find is that we run around saying, oh, we love, we love, we love. At the end of the day, you don't create anything. You don't own anything. You've never built anything. You've never transformed anything. And I think that's what the voters have to contend with.
What the voters will have to contend with, Mr. Prime Minister, is the enrichment of yourself and your wife.
All right. What do you make a post, Yeah,
no, I have another one that is more close up. Where is it? Hold on. The enrichment, Prime Minister, of yourself, your wife, and your family.
What do you make a post, Yeah, man.
I wonder if anything on the environment is going to come up tonight for the Prime Minister.
Some I like Gary River, May I talk about the mining thing from up a hillside? Yeah. What me here say,
Oops, sorry.
Andrew and his wife have a section to deal with that. When I target what they come like a joke.
No, I don't
it's
think it's that same man with the long question coming tonight.
It's always my nice river when I come down, come all fresh, all early morning, early morning now. I think 7 o'clock and look on this. Jamaica. You know, say, the government not really respect. You know, the native, you know, of the land. You know, I mean, say some parties say some craving thing, but come like a matter and not even know what to say, but check it. And a long time we are post against this and we are, you know, and we are ask them to find a solution
Only
to this. But everybody does maximize them profit, you know. You see it? No love for Jamaica, you know. We're the best place.
Prime Minister crucifixion is coming closer.
Look what greediness. I see something mash up Africa, you know, you see what I go on. Them want come do, you know, some people, me tell you something, you know. My mother Indian and my father a black man. I tell you something, say, man, I'm a native of this land. See? And through slavery we come here. See? Yeah, man, look on the whole flip. Look on the whole flip. Look on the river. I can't even come a river, come get a shower. Look on the river, eh? That's why I go on. And now them are politics time. And then look for fool people, and I can't bet, tell them I go vote. See? For the same people, and we are pollute Seafort River, you see it? See, all right, I know the way I vex and not even say nothing. I am glad pass on this. See, I'm a brother, watch bridge now come on for the farm. Come and walk through. We don't use something as Seafort. We don't use them thing as Seafort. Eh? Yes, I with pride and joy, them take it from me. You see it? I saw them stay now. You see me a youth and nature, you know, so. Now if you burn them, you know, burn Babylon and them dirty ways, you know. Yeah, man. Now them want to come give all the Rasta man honor what day. And the Rasta man, we see what them are going with. Look for water, look for river. Eh? And them on them mining thing because them greedy, craving your style. Sure.
True followers of the gel.
Good morning. The time now, what is it? 8:37 a.m. Yeah? I'm going to come a river to come bathe, you know, and brush my teeth. Because I'm not the water in the pipe because right now in a Seafort, when I water gone 1 week time, I not come back to Saturday or Sunday. So you know say, when I full up, we look at water them, we do we look at yard, shores and whatever. Sometimes the water not even last, so I have to still come over to come bathe. Look for the condition of the water so early in the morning. Wait there. Right now, I wonder if I come with back home. Because it's not safe. Because to the water brown. To the water look right now, it's not safe right now. It's not safe to bathe in. Me, I wonder what do the mining right now. We don't even take a day through yourself and give we the citizens of Seafort a day, or a 2 day, or a 3 day. Because we need it. We need clean water to bathe in. We can't come and mine the river every day and expect, say, it figure. So that's not fear. Fear is fear, right? And let me tell you this. Me a labor right, and me a go talk, and we have free, and God give it a will there, and still the government give it a talk, so we talk. Yeah, so we have to talk. Yeah? Me now go switch because the people here, let me tell you what people here say. Andrew Holness' wife am in the river. Now Seafort up a hillside or wheresoever. Me don't know what part the man in go on or the crusher there. They say Andrew Holness' wife own it. Right? So me, I say no. Even if Andrew Holness' wife own it, them fees, me still not gonna talk say Andrew Holness' wife to say and say, if you do the mining, right? Can you take a day out of the week, please? And give us we the citizens of Seafort 4 days, and you take 3 days because of 7 days of the week. Or so, because we need to go to the river and bathe. And the fishes, we not even can see no fish to catch, no fish, it no look safe. Right now, we not think of fish in the water. Because to the water that the fish then go look different river fish swimming now. Because the fish that use to the dark water, yeah, them blind. Yeah. But me I say, right? If I saw it off it true, but if I say we want to use the water, we want the mining needs to stop. At one time, the mining have to put on a break. So yeah, Jesus Christ, I could have. Yeah, crying. Why?
3 minutes to go, my peeps.
Yeah, I mean I say, The mind need to go on a break and give way a time for come that we can come out and come bathe. Yeah, and get clean water. Although me not say and everybody brush their teeth a river, you know, because sometimes some get something kind of the water. Yeah, but some people do brush their teeth a river. Yeah, like me brush my teeth out here. But me I say, no sir, this people who mind the river, me don't know who mind it. But me just tell Andrew Holness, me government, what the people them say up here, up at Seafoot or wheresoever then they say it because I will me hear. Say them are saying wife own the crusher and I look up the river, right? I don't know how true it is because I never Google it to find out who own crusher. Yeah. But as I say, that can't stop me from being a labor right, you know. I just got to talk to the right and show me government and say, Andrew, if I saw it I go on it, nothing goes for me, I tell you, I beg you correct it. Yeah, that's how I can say. Yeah. Because if you don't see something, you know.
Okay. The link has come up. It will kick in soon. Let me turn the light off TikTok so you can have your pleasant viewing. The link will come up anytime now. Anytime now, the debate will go live. Ladies and gentlemen, it is D-Day, where the two leaders of the two main political parties will face off tonight. Let's sit back and watch the onslaught unfold. The channel will come up soon. You don't worry. You don't worry. You're going to witness the killing of Andrew Holness tonight. Proverbial. You're going to witness the proverbial killing of Andrew Holness tonight. How will Andrew Holness withstand the onslaught of the Titan Mark Golding, a man with clean hands, a man who can tell where his wealth comes from, a man who his statutory declaration year in, year out has been certified by the Integrity Commission, versus a prime minister under a cloud of investigation and integrity crisis, a prime minister in front of the court with the Integrity Commission, a prime minister that brew scandal after scandal, a prime minister who gave us 110 buses for 1.4 billion, even though we found out that the buses are $1 a one. Can Andrew Holness tonight withstand what is to come from Mark Golding?
Welcome to the General Elections Debates, brought to you by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Scotiabank for every future.
Headline,
Kendall, the taste of quality. Sagicor Group, building trust one generation at a time. Glow, NCB, Arc Manufacturing, Water, JN Group, Lasco Chin Foundation, Pan Jamaica Group, Miss Birdie, H&L Homes, and VM Group. Tonight, we focus on the leaders. Our moderator is Archibald Gordon.
Good evening. Welcome to the final of 3 general election debates organized by the Jamaica Debates Commission, staged before a live studio audience. The debates are intended to assist in identifying, clarifying, and understanding the issues being presented in this general election campaign. This evening's debate focuses on the leaders. Members of the panel of questioners are Dion Jackson Miller, Radio Jamaica 94 FM, and Giovanni Dennis, CVM TV. Taking and presenting questions from the public is our social media editor, Amoy Harriott from CVM TV. I am your moderator, Archibald Gordon. As is customary, the audience is not to applaud the debaters except for now, after we announce each debater. Tonight, representing the People's National Party is party leader Mr. Mark Golding. Representing the Jamaica Labour Party is party leader Dr. Andrew Holness. The guidelines for tonight's debates have been previously agreed and are posted on the Debate Commission's website at www.jamaicadebatescommission.org. The guidelines include questions being no longer than 30 seconds, and each debater is allowed 90 seconds to respond to each question, and rebuttals are limited to 45 seconds. The questions posed in tonight's debate will come from two sources. The first source is you, the public. Send us your questions via direct message on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to Jamaica Debates. These will be checked, selected, and asked by our social media editor. The second source of questions is from our panel of journalists. Questions are not influenced by the Jamaica Debates Commission in any way. Our sign language interpreters tonight are Dorothy Williams and Terry-Ann Bernard from the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf. Based on a previous coin toss, our first question tonight comes from Dion Jackson Miller of the RGR Group, and it will be directed to Dr. Andrew Holness.
Dr. Holness, government members have recommended taking the Auditor General off the Integrity Commission. There have been changes made by your administration to the Office of Political Ombudsman that have virtually destroyed its effectiveness as a check on the behavior of politicians. And there have been constant attacks by members of your administration on the Integrity Commission and on media and civil society groups that criticize your administration. Shouldn't Jamaicans be concerned about what appears to be a pattern by your administration of undermining oversight bodies in the public sector, civil society, and media?
There is absolutely no attempt by my administration and indeed myself to undermine any oversight body. Indeed, we have acted to strengthen and make them far more efficient in placing the oversight of the political ombudsman under the office of the Electoral Commission. That's a move to strengthen and give it far more institutional framework. I myself have been very complimentary and acted in a very dignified way as it relates to the Integrity Commission.
That's not true.
Mr. Golding will have the opportunity to respond.
There has been a definite pattern of hostility from the Jamaica Labour Party government towards the institutions mentioned in the question, in particular, the Integrity Commission, largely because it is well known that there are at least 10 members of parliament who are under investigation for illicit enrichment, a serious corruption offence, of which the only one to be known is the one for whom a report has been completed and sent to the parliament, which is you, Andrew. As a result of that, they have done their very best to try to neuter that critical institution, including the Prime Minister, bringing that institution to court to undermine its effectiveness and indeed eliminate it entirely.
Our next question comes from Giovanni Dennis, and it goes to Mr. Mark Golding.
Mr. Golding, Keith Duncan says the PNP's proposal to increase the income tax threshold to 3.5 million is impractical and impossible to fund without new taxes. Can you explain how these planned tax breaks will work without hurting the economy?
The context in which we have decided to increase the threshold to 3.5 million is the hollowing out of the middle class in this country. Working families finding it extremely difficult to make ends meet. And we believe with the debt to GDP ratio having now, after 13 and a half years of belt tightening and austerity, having now reached the cusp of the target of 60% of GDP introduced into the fiscal rules in law under Portia Simpson Miller, this is a time, this year it's expected to actually, with the readjustment of the definition and calculation of GDP, this is the year that we expect to achieve that target. That will release 2.5% to 3% of GDP of additional resources, which were not previously budgeted for in the fiscal policy paper. That is more than sufficient to pay for our entire program, including the $3.5 million increase to $3.5 million of the tax threshold, which will make our civil servants and our middle managers, and indeed most of Jamaicans who are presently suffering under the high burden of the cost of living, have money that they can spend. They can fix up their homes, extend their homes with a room, buy a car if they don't have one, pay down debt where they may be in arrears. It is necessary to preserve the country from brain drain and to keep the society intact.
Dr. Holness now has the opportunity to respond.
The hollowing out of the middle class is an act of the PNP. They totally decimated the middle class. It is the Jamaica Labour Party
Another lie again.
that introduced the increase in the non-tax threshold that recreated a middle class in Jamaica. In fact, when you look at the salary profile of PAYE contributors, you would see that their salaries have all risen. It is a Jamaica Labour Party through the compensation review that has increased salaries by over 200 billion Jamaican dollars for public sector workers. The current proposal of the PNP is unworkable.
It's now time for a question from social media. We're going to Amoy Harriot.
Thanks, Archie. Our first social media question tonight comes from Instagram. Shania in Kingston, she says, low voter turnout suppresses the effectiveness of a democratic society. Many Jamaicans refuse to vote because they believe both parties are corrupt. What would you say to the significant population of non-voters? And if elected, how will you hold politicians accountable for offenses against the people instead of protecting them?
So in this instance, the question, you have 90 seconds to answer, and we begin with Dr. Holness.
Corruption is a serious problem in our country, and corruption requires strong leadership. From my position as Prime Minister, I have taken action against any member of my political party that has been involved or accused of anything that suggests corruption. In my own case, I have been investigated for a year with an expert forensic auditor. The findings of that report have suggested no corruption. There have been no charges.
Another lie again, Prime Minister.
Every aspect of my report, every aspect of my personal life and my personal financial details are in the public domain. I am the politician about which Jamaica knows the most. And therefore, I am the politician who can stand with the greatest moral authority to treat with any matter that is considered corrupt, as I have done in the past. And I want to give this assurance to the Jamaican people that you know me, you know about me, you can trust me, and you know that I stand against corruption.
Mr. Golding has the opportunity to respond to that social media question as well.
Andrew, what they know about you is that you have 28 bank accounts, that you received several $1 million in cash deposits from anonymous donors in your bank account, that your companies had transactions of over $400 million, several thousand transactions between them, and that Positive Jamaica Foundation, a non-profit which you are intimately connected with, provided resources which you use for personal investments through your personal company. We have signed the Leadership Code of Conduct developed by Integrity Commission. All of our spokespersons and myself have signed. None of your people have signed it. I am committed to ensuring that all members of the executive, when we form government, will have their Integrity Commission declarations published, not just the leader of the opposition and what should happen, but hasn't happened in your case because you're not certified, the Prime Minister. So the whole question that has been asked is an excellent question. And we really need to step up our vigilance against corrupt behavior, nepotism, and cronyism. The volume of scandals under this Jamaica Labour Party government is unprecedented. Over the number of ministers who have had to be removed from frontline duty, many of them parked in the naughty corner in OPM rather than being sacked. It is a disgrace to the country, and your personal situation where you're operating under a deep cloud because your Integrity Commission declarations are not certified also is something which Jamaica cannot go forward with.
Prime Minister.
We'll now take a short break and we invite you to stay tuned.
God Almighty. No, sir. Me love the first question. They start it off good. Lord God Almighty. No, sir. Boy. It start hot, you know, Jamaica. The Prime Minister has egg on his face in the first round.
To the communities
Egg
we serve. By
on the Prime
empowering
Minister's
individuals
face.
and
So far,
organizations,
the Prime
we are
Minister has
revitalizing
not said
communities
anything
and creating a
truthful
more sustainable
in the
world
first
for
round
every future.
of the debate. We expect a plethora of lies from the Prime Minister tonight. So, the entire day. What a disgrace. What a disgrace tonight. And the honest comes straight out of the back, lying. And not to the all over there are what? All over there after reviewing. Oh, Prime Minister.
From the CariMed Group.
Oh, Prime
At
Minister.
Flow, we understand your rhythm.
What a tragedy tonight.
That's why we're
And the
dedicated
PM.
to building a network as resilient as you.
Whoa, yo. We need help, Jesus. Jamaica need help. Shift the parliament. Shift the election. Shift everything. Remove them out there. Take out the cockroach. Take out the thief. Take out the criminal them. Take out the thief them. Take out the murderer them. Take out the gang leader them. Out of parliament. Take them out. From Portland. Take them out. I hear Portland. Me I go to Portland. Why me I travel to Portland? Take out somebody. Man or woman.
Jamaicans working
A
hard.
chamomile tea, chamomile and sorrel. Tea me drink it. No, sir. Lord Jesus tonight. Something off will start so hot. Prime Minister will just start, you know. And you're already been floored.
This is your reminder on how to mark your
The
ballot.
Prime Minister
Easy
has
and
been
confidential.
floored
When you receive
in the
your ballot,
first
take
round
a moment
of the
to read
debate.
it carefully. Mark your ballot
And
clearly
almost
with
no
an
come yet,
X
Michael.
beside the symbol of the candidate
We
of
don't
your
get
choice. Use only the pencil provided.
Lord
Make
Jesus.
sure it is visible.
No, sir.
Once you're done,
So,
hold
but
the ballot
the
as
wheelbarrow, we
instructed
yeah,
and
when I
return
we
it to
never
the
get to
presiding
use the favor to favor
Your
never
vote
turn
is your
up.
voice.
We're
Leave
gonna
your
have
mark,
to creep up the Prime Minister tonight with shovel.
want $10,000
So in a
to spend
wheelbarrow.
this summer,
And Cam Riverton after Mark Golden done with him
So
tonight.
theme park are all inclusive.
Ask the expert.
Tell the Prime Minister I pray to have diarrhea.
Bywin, you're not gonna see me in the same outfit twice.
Prime Minister must have pray to have diarrhea for them rush him off a stage.
Everything.
That's the only thing. Turn Jennifer Mostardo and shit and piss off yourself. Like when Jennifer Mostardo got caught over when thief and Mostardo and Movado and Indo answer.
And I'm the assistant coach. No.
Mostardo just start shit
No,
and
just
piss.
bring the water.
I would advise the Prime Minister do the same. The only thing can save your skin tonight. Make them put off the debate till one other day. But when you come back in the Prime Minister, we'll start it right back where it started.
Every generation brings
When you come back,
ambitions.
we're starting right back where the end started
Helping Jamaicans
with
to realize
your
their dreams. As we celebrate our
government
past,
and
we
your
look
party
forward to
attack
continuing
on
that legacy
freedom
of trust, providing
and the
support
democratic
and
system
solutions for for the next generation to succeed.
Oh,
Sagicor, building
and the
trust,
wholeness lose in
one
the first round.
generation
Can you
at a
imagine?
time.
The first round, and the
Tomorrow's
Prime Minister
success will
lost the
depend on the
entire
decisions
race.
we make today. At the Scotia Jamaica Foundation,
God, me have to go
supporting the
check them out
well-being
when they
of our
come back.
nation is
I mean,
more
feel that
than
this
a
year will get
choice.
hotter and
It's a
hotter.
heartfelt promise to the communities we serve. By
The feel
empowering
this year will get
individuals
hotter and
and
hotter because
organizations,
Mark Golden got digging his skin in him.
revitalizing communities, and
Mark
creating a
Golden
more
come for
sustainable
digging
world
his beat and
for
teach you to suck
every
on.
future.
Mark Golden come for digging his skin tonight like how you see Julian. Shut up, Wayne, shut up.
The general
One back.
elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Scotiabank for every future. Kendall, the taste of quality. Sagicor Group, building trust one generation at a time. Flow, NCB, Arc Manufacturing, Water, JN Group, Lascochin Foundation, Pan Jamaica Group, Miss Birdie, H&L Homes, and VM Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Welcome back to the Leaders Debate presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. We invite you, the public, to send us your questions via direct message on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to Jamaica Debates. We now ask Dion Jackson Miller to start this segment with a question for Mr. Mark Golding.
Going back to the income tax proposal, Mr. Golding, because several people have been taking issue with your numbers. The PNP's assertion that it can fund the proposal through projected revenue growth doesn't seem to take into, as well as organic revenue growth, doesn't seem to take into account increase in expenditure. That's also projected, as well as low growth rates that no government in recent years has managed to overcome. Isn't it true that your numbers just don't add up?
The fiscal policy paper does project over the next 3 years some $160 billion of additional revenue. The degree to which there are accompanying expenses will depend on how we manage the expense side of the budget. There's also the fact that there's $360 billion of programs in the budget that represent the priorities of a given government at a particular point in time. When we are elected, we're not going to be elected to maintain the current trajectory that Jamaica is on. People want to see change. And most fundamentally, the issue really is the fact that we are coming to the end of the period of austerity, the period where Jamaica has been for 13 and a half years, steadfastly paying down debt. So that the debt to GDP ratio, which we inherited at 147% of GDP at the beginning of 2012, is now, in this fiscal year, projected to achieve the target of 60% of GDP. Once that happens, we no longer have to reduce debt as a priority. We just have to maintain that debt profile. That will release resources of 2.5% to 3% of GDP, which is close to $90 billion of additional resources, which no longer have to be part of your primary surplus target. So we will be able to fund our program quite comfortably come April next year when the fiscal year starts.
Dr. Holness,
there is a song which says, when the rum tells you you're a big dancer. I don't know what the leader of the opposition was drinking. Firstly, the debt to GDP for this fiscal year is not projected to be 60%. It is projected to be 65% thereabouts. If the leader of the opposition is depending on growth to provide the revenues for $75 billion of expenditure, the country would have to grow between 8 and 10%, which has not done that since the 60s. Thirdly, yes, there are $300 billion of programs. What are these programs? Pharmaceuticals.
Thank you, Dr. Holness. Thank you, Dr. Holness. Our next question is from Giovanni Dennis, and it goes to Dr. Holness.
Dr. Holness, you said on February 7, 2016 in Sam Sharp Square, Montego Bay, within our first 100 days in government, we will start the legislative process to fix the general election date in Jamaica. It's been 3,490 days since. In your May 2016 budget debate, you further stated the country should not be distracted by protracted periods of uncertainty. Yet, that's exactly what happened with this year's election. After 2 consecutive terms in office, you have failed to deliver on this promise. Why?
Your research into this matter, I respect the question, is incomplete. At the calling of the 2020 general elections, I explained to the public in Parliament that our government actually started work on fixed election date, and we found that it was inconsistent with our constitutional arrangements. And therefore, we did not include it in our 2020 manifesto. It is no longer a part of our platform. More to that, however, is the fact that in seeking to have all of these previous considerations included, we went about putting in place a constitutional reform commission that would bring all the considerations for constitutional reform under an expert review. That expert review was thwarted by the opposition. So yes, these considerations were considered from 2016, but the reality of our constitutional arrangement made us take a different route, which is to go to a comprehensive constitutional reform, which was frustrated by the opposition.
Over to Mr. Golding to respond.
Just before I respond, just to point out that Mr. Holness's data is not current. The Fiscal Commissioner issued a release, I think it was today actually, indicating that with the National System of Accounts being updated, GDP has been adjusted, and we're now at 62% of GDP. That's what the debt is at the end of March this year, and we will more than likely achieve 60% this fiscal year. No, please, you're not entitled to do that. The flip-flopping from the Prime Minister is manifest. They were supposed to have impeachment. There's no impeachment. Fixed election day, no fixed election day. Ring fencing the NHT, they have taken over $130 billion out of the NHT. Cannot be trusted.
Just reminding that there is a format to the debate and asking the debaters to respect the format to which they have agreed. It's now time to go to the next question. Social media. Amoy Harriet, over to you.
This question comes from Janine. Parliament has passed a constitutional amendment bill and a referendum bill to transition Jamaica into a republic. Could you clarify the economic and administrative implications of this transition and how you intend to ensure that the process doesn't distract from Jamaica's economic priorities like debt reduction, investment diversification, and public services?
That question goes to Mr. Golding first and then to Dr. Holness.
In answer to the question, we can whistle and ride. So we have done very well as a nation in reducing our public debt. We ensured that the fiscal rules were very strong with an algorithm, an equation in the fifth schedule to the Financial Administration Audit Act that determines the fiscal balance that must be hit by each year's budget. And that has ensured that successive governments have stayed on course to take it down to 60%. We can do constitutional reform, but it requires authentic consultation with the people. And there must be an effort to have bipartisan consensus on critical issues. And we have not been able to achieve that consensus yet on the critical issue of decolonization, in particular our final court, which is now the Privy Council, the King's Court, that makes orders in the name of the King, as opposed to the regional court, which has been established, the Caribbean Court of Justice, which Jamaica helped to design, helped to fund, and which has developed over the last 20 years a reputation for independence and excellence. There are aspects of the bills that are in Parliament now that we have big problems with. In particular, the fact that effectively it will allow the Prime Minister to appoint the President, because a simple majority of both houses will do it if we do not agree who that person is. I think that is wrong. I think that the President of the country must command the trust and confidence of both sides of the political aisle and indeed the wider public.
Dr. Holness?
To be clear, the bills before Parliament do not give the Prime Minister the ability to appoint the President. We are the party that have advanced the greatest, the process of repatriating our sovereignty. I am a Jamaican through and through, and I want to see my country's sovereignty represented by a Jamaican. It puzzles me as to why the opposition is trying to frustrate this. The opposition says we must always consult the people, yet they do not want to consult the people on a fundamental architecture of our society, our final court of appeal. They are inconsistent, they are hypocritical, flip-floppers. They were the ones who nudged, encouraged, and agreed with the government that a process should be started for the repatriation of our sovereignty. Midway the process, they have turned around to say they have challenges with it. What is it that they really want? Are you truly a Jamaican?
It's time for our next question. It is from Dion Jacks Miller, and it goes to Mr. Golding.
Tell him say you're a true Jamaican with your
Mr. Golding,
declaration certified.
the PNP is promising a tax break for small businesses for the first 3 years of formally incorporating, as well as a raft of other targeted tax relief measures. How do you respond to criticisms that your tax plan reintroduces inefficiencies, tax avoidance, and corruption into the tax system that have been eliminated over the past 15 years?
First of all, I think the Prime Minister repeated innuendo or direct attack which has been leveled by his party on my nationality. And, you know, I just wanted to just make it absolutely clear that I am indeed born here as a Jamaican. Here is my birth certificate, and it shows I was born at the University Hospital on July 19th, 1965. And it's right here. I hope your camera can pick it up. And I have a copy for you, Prime Minister, right here. And I wish you could provide me with a copy of your certification, but of course you can't do so. Now, on the question of tax, there's a third schedule to the GCT Act now, which has a long list of items which are not subject to GCT that are exempt. We feel that laptops and other devices are critical tools of trade, and it is wrong to tax them, and we are going to add them to that list. And similarly, sports equipment, which is vital for social cohesion. Sports is a critical part of keeping young people away from straying down the wrong path and so on. Why are we taxing those items? That cost of living is already high. So I don't agree. The system we have already caters for items which should not be taxed. And we're simply saying we want to adjust those items to include things that should be there but are not yet there.
Dr. Holness?
The Jamaica Labour Party is the only political organization to have reduced taxes. We reduced the GCT from 16.5% to 15%. And we have done so in a way that has not compromised our revenues or the sustainability of future programs. All, and I repeat, all the tax suggestions and promises of the opposition will compromise our fiscal arrangements and place us back in debt or result in increased taxes. The best way to provide social services is to identify the persons who need it.
Thank you, Dr. Holness. Our next question is from Giovanni Dennis, and it goes to Dr. Holness.
The Rio Cobre is a major water source for the St. Catherine Plains and communities in and around Spanish Town. Yet, since 2019, under your watch as Environment Minister, there have been close to a dozen chemical spills causing fish kills and disrupting lives. You say you're a champion of the environment. Why hasn't there been tougher sanctions for the repeated breaches of environmental permits by the companies culpable?
The Jamaica Labour Party has put in very tough sanctions, including the requirement for the provision of bonds. We are the only government to have called these bonds and brought polluters to court. We have also started the process of studying the Rio Cobre to ensure that there is no discharge into the Rio Cobre. And this is something that I am personally very serious about, and we will put in legislation to end discharge into the Rio Cobre. It becomes even more important as we have now put in place the Content Rio Corbe water project, for which we are pulling 15 million gallons of water from the Rio Corbe per day. So we must protect that asset. And I give the public my sincere commitment that we will protect the Rio Corbe.
Mr. Golding?
Quickly, just to say that the JLP is not the only party to have reduced taxes. The PNP reduced the personal income tax rate from 33.33% to 25%. We reduced the GCT rate from 17.5% to 16%. There's been reductions of taxes on both sides. They plan to reduce, they say, income tax from 25 to 15, which is going to help the rich and the ministers who pay themselves 200+% pay increases. On the environmental issue, you are the one who overturned NEPA's decision not to grant a permit for the mining of the Dry Harbor Mountains, which is a very sensitive nature reserve. You're flip-flopping again, Andrew.
Our next question is from social media. Over to Amoy Harriot.
Well, Archie, Delanor says many Jamaicans would like to see the full rollout of body-worn cameras on our police officers, even more so now, given the increase in fatal police shootings. Will this be something that you'll prioritize should you be elected?
Mr. Golding will respond first.
First of all, I think it's very important to acknowledge and commend the excellent work done by the police force over the last year and a half in bringing the rate of violent crime, in particular murders in the country, down from the intolerable levels where it had been under this government. More murders committed in Andrew Holness's 2 years in office than any other 2-year term in the history of Jamaica. The police have finally abandoned the failed policies that we did our best to stop, the mass use of states of emergency, which the court has ruled as unconstitutional, and have gone now to a much more targeted approach, a much more strategically sound approach. Having said that, we do feel that it's very important that the public as a whole must have trust and confidence in the police, because the police rely on intelligence and information from the public. And therefore, if the public feel that there's excessive use of force and there's no accountability for it, they're not going to be as cooperative as we need them to be. I think, therefore, it's in the interest of the Jamaican society and the police themselves to have the benefit of body-worn cameras, especially when they go on special operations. So there can be no question, nobody can accuse them wrongly of having used excessive force when the force was legitimate as used. And to the extent that there may occasionally be an excessive use of force, the persons are held accountable for that in accordance with the law. That's what the rule of law requires.
Dr. Holness?
The government is already in the process of procuring and acquiring body-worn cameras. Several thousands of them are under procurement and will be deployed shortly to the police force. We consider this as absolutely important in giving confidence to the public regarding the actions of the police force. And the police themselves want to have these cameras as protection for themselves. Interestingly, however, the leader of the opposition states that the states of public emergency did not work. Now, murders under the PNP increased to over 1,000 murders in 1997 and remained there for over 30 years. It is the Jamaica Labour Party in 3 consecutive years that have reduced murders by 55%. The states of public emergency worked. The states of public emergency were supported by the PNP when Peter Phillips was the leader of the opposition, and it reduced murders by 27%. Since we did not have the cooperation of the opposition, murders went up. A question must be asked: who is responsible for the increase in murders when there was a tool that could have saved lives? It is a serious question.
No, Giovanni Dennis has indicated that he would like to ask one of his 2 follow-up questions. I believe that question will go to
Mr. Golding.
Mr. Golding.
Mr. Golding, I want to go back to the matter of your dual citizenship. It took days for you to confirm that you held dual citizenship and weeks for you to renounce it. Why didn't you acknowledge the issue upfront, and why should Jamaicans believe you will be forthcoming with them on any issue, even if it's uncomfortable in the first instance?
I didn't hesitate to acknowledge dual citizenship. I was born in Jamaica. I had a British father, and I inherited British citizenship by descent from him. And that's lawful under the laws of Jamaica. And indeed, parliamentarians in Jamaica are permitted to be dual nationals. I therefore didn't consider it to be something which was problematic. However, when it was raised last year and politicized, I decided I want to know what the Jamaican people felt about it, because I thought really my response ought to be driven by them. We did an internal poll. It showed that a majority thought I should renounce, and so I did. And I renounced my British citizenship in August last year.
Dr. Holness, rebuttal.
You know, this is a strange one. A man who wants to represent his country must choose his country. He doesn't need to ask anyone. You should choose. And that's why we say we choose Jamaica. It is indeed of concern that it was not until your 40s, when you were becoming a minister of government, that you sought to have a Jamaican passport. It is not your birth that makes you Jamaican. It is the choices you make for your country, including supporting a process that would make a Jamaican head of state here, including getting a Jamaican passport.
Our next question is from social media. Over to Amoy, and that question will go to Mr. Golding.
On TikTok, Taj says, given the current negotiations surrounding the U.S. Keep Call Centers in America Act and its potential to impact over 50,000 Jamaican BPO workers, how does your administration plan to safeguard both employment and livelihoods for young Jamaicans if outsourcing opportunities decline?
That's a good question. And the truth is that the evolution of technology, especially the advent of artificial intelligence, is also a threat to the type of services that are provided through outsourcing. So we are going to have to ensure that we try and upskill our existing workforce so that they can be trained to do the type of tasks that technology isn't going to be as adept at dealing with as human beings. And we also have to provide other avenues for employment for young people. That's why we're going to establish the Youth Innovation Fund, which will provide grants and loans to young people to get them into business if they want to get into business. And it will enable them to pursue their talents in tech or in creative industries or any other area of endeavor so that they can express themselves, help to monetize their talent and build brand Jamaica. And so those are the types of things that need to be done. We also want to emphasize training and the role of the private sector in training. We'll be giving an incentive, a dollar-for-dollar matching of all businesses who invest in upskilling and training. We will match their investment through the HEART program to encourage them to invest further in training and upskilling the workforce so they can employ more people in higher paying jobs. Right now, too many of our people are struggling in low-income jobs, low-wage jobs, low-tech jobs.
The same question goes to Dr. Holness.
Well, let me give you some practical and real answers instead of hairy-fairy stuff. Jamaica is already positioning itself for nearshoring and friendly shoring of the recalibration of the global supply chain. And that is why we have made a massive investment in the Caymanas development and in Raintree. These are real investments that will bring production to Jamaica and jobs to Jamaica. We have already started to ensure that over 120,000 Jamaican youths can access training free of cost on the HEART. And much of that training is in support of not just BPO, but logistics. But more than that, we saw the change in technology coming and the impact it will have. And that is why we have invested in a coding and technology academy, the Amber Heart Academy, where hundreds of Jamaican youth are trained in not just the basics, but as high up as data science. Because what we want to create in our society are the trained skills that can attract the jobs that we are already negotiating for. You have a government that understands the changing global dynamics.
Thank you, Dr.
and putting in
Holness.
place measures to take advantage of it.
We'll now take a short break and we invite you to stay tuned.
The general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission.
We can't keep up with Andrew. Andrew totally detached from reality. Andrew Michael Holness is completely detached from reality. We can't keep up. It's hard to go in an Andrew Holness world. Me not lie. It is difficult to cope in an Andrew world. Oh, Lord Jesus. No, sir. Andrew come with the spotty jars them like a tough than to, you know.
Tomorrow's
Income
success will depend on the
trace.
decisions we make today.
Like how tough than come
At
to
the
trace
Social
when I
Jamaica Foundation,
Andrew
supporting
come
the
to
well-being
trace
of
as
our
well.
nation is more
Prime
than a
Minister,
choice.
you lose
It's a
from the
heartfelt
first
promise to the
question.
communities we serve.
We don't have
By
to
empowering
consider anything
individuals and
further.
organizations,
What would they
we are
offer? We just listen
revitalizing
to Mark
communities
Golden
and
schooling
creating
you.
a more sustainable
Because the
world
first
for
question Dean
every
Jackson
future.
Miller asked, Prime Minister, you failed on that question.
At Flow, we understand
You came
your
out
rhythm.
of the box lying, Prime Minister.
That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you. With
So
a team
there's
of
no
familiar
winning for you
faces
tonight.
working
You
every
already
day
lose. In
to
case
keep
I'm
you
going
on
home.
beat. You're
So
at
it's
the
hard
heart
to
of
follow
everything
Andrew
we do.
reality, Ladybug.
And our
Because the
commitment
things
is
that
to
what
keep
Andrew
your
talk about,
rhythm
we don't know
flowing,
about it.
no matter what.
Going after Mr. Golden's citizenship, nationality, or whatever will not suffice Andrew Holness.
Building Jamaica. The
At
resilience
least
of
Mark
our
Golden
people
did
is cementing our
what
products,
people
built
perceive
to
to be the
last
right
for
thing.
generations.
Up until now,
Laying the foundation
we can't get
for
your
rising
statutory
communities,
declaration.
we're
Pauline Dixon,
committed
how you
to
do?
excellence and quality. Quality
Up
products,
until now,
quality relationships. We're all proud Jamaicans working hard.
you can't
doing
present
good, building
your
a
statutory
sustainable future
declaration.
for all. That same
So
unbeatable
you go,
spirit
me
runs
surprised you
through
know come up
us.
with FinSac
We
yet, you
are
know.
ARC Manufacturing, made
You look like true Zara Burton. Put him out.
If you want $10,000 US
You know,
to
if I
spend
chose Zara
this
Burton,
summer,
put him out
you
where
spend
they
it on something nice,
with the
something
FinSac,
unforgettable.
with the benefit, the benefit when you get from FinSac. Why him not going after
Darwin, you're
FinSac
not gonna see me in the
tonight?
same outfit twice.
Mm. But him try him best stay away from FinSac. But when I notice him just can't keep himself calm though. You notice Andrew Holness when Mark Golden attack Andrew Holness 14, which is breaking the debating rules. At least none of the other two teams had done the interruption that Andrew come with. You have to ask Andrew what makes you a Jamaican, you know, look like out the Andrew mouth. You be things, you know. You have to Andrew can't even stick to the rule. Andrew interfere with Mr. Golden's time, which even Andrew Holness Juniors never did cross over each other. The man just cannot.
look forward to continuing that legacy of trust, providing
The man
support
just cannot
and
follow
solutions
rules.
for the next generation to succeed.
And he's asking us
Building
to trust him.
one generation
No,
at a
sir.
time.
It's hard to keep up with Andrew, me not lie. It's really hard.
When you want the food shell and make the rice well, just give me the candle anytime I give
Martha Cooper Foundation, how are you? It's really hard to keep up with the Prime Minister, but the People's National Party has won all 3 rounds of the debate. The Prime Minister lost the debate tonight when he answered the first question with a plethora of
The
lines.
general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Scotiabank for Ever Future, Kendall, the taste of quality,
Sagicor Group, building trust one generation at a time.
Flow, NCB, Arc Manufacturing, Water, JN Group,
Lasco Chin Foundation,
Pan Jamaica Group, Miss Birdie,
H&L Homes,
and VM Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Welcome back to the Leaders Debate presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. We invite you, the public, again, to send us your questions via direct message on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to Jamaica Debates. We now ask Dion Jackson Miller to start this segment with a question for Dr. Andrew Holness.
2021, you were appointed to the Queen's Privy Council and the Ancient Advisory Body, and your administration's recent attempt at constitutional reform would have seen the removal of the British monarch from Jamaica's parliament and executive in phase 1, but not from our judiciary. Opposition or no opposition, referendum or not, can you tell us your position, whether you support the removal of the Privy Council as Jamaica's final court, and if so, when?
My position is that Jamaica should have its own local court as its final appellate court. But I also do respect the Caribbean Court of Justice, of which we are a part of its original jurisdiction. I will say, however, that on a matter as important as this, that forms the architecture of our nation, the people must be consulted. And that is why I put in place a process that would begin these consultations in a practical and phased basis, a process which has been thwarted by the opposition. Now, the leader of the opposition raises questions about democracy. On one hand, he does not want to consult. He wants the government to just act without consulting with the people, but then turns around and says that we are the ones undermining democracy. The leader of the opposition must be consistent. Democracy requires us to consult the people on these critical matters.
Mr. Golding?
Yes, Mr. Holness, shortly before the visit of Prince William to Jamaica, became a member of the King's Privy Council. So one has to wonder how he was choosing Jamaica when he did that. Anyway, to answer the question, we want to follow the Constitution, and the Constitution has been ruled by the Privy Council as the highest court as not requiring a referendum for the decision as to whether or not the CCJ should become the final court replacing the Privy Council. And that is what we think ought to be done. No other country that has moved away from the Privy Council has had a referendum to do so, and there are good reasons for that.
Our next question is from Giovanni Dennis, and it goes to Mr. Golding.
Mr. Golding, the PNP under your leadership has flip-flopped on a number of issues. For example, Julian Robinson on May 16, 2023 said the opposition takes no issue with the massive salary increase for parliamentarians. The very next day, the PNP released a statement objecting to the increase. Why should Jamaicans trust that you won't similarly make about turns on promises you are making now?
When Julian said that in Parliament, he was referring to the principle of parliamentarians getting an increase. He wasn't addressing the specifics of what was being proposed. We hadn't had a discussion around those specifics. When we looked at the details and we saw the massive increase that the Prime Minister was proposing for himself and for his ministers, we felt it was unconscionable to do that in the context where the public sector workers had just had their salary negotiations under some duress in relation to the teachers in particular, finalized, and many of them were getting 20% over 2 years. That is why we had to clarify our position, because it was not in accordance with what we thought that principle demanded. Now, over time, thinking can evolve. People change their positions on issues. So, for example, We are looking at this whole question of the 3.5 salary, the $3.5 million threshold increase. And we've seen where as the debt target is achieved and resources can be released, it can be afforded. We weren't calling for 3.5 2 years ago, but we see that the need, inflation, etc., have happened. Cost of living pressures are there. Our evolution, our thinking has evolved, and we think that this is the right thing to do now, and we're committing ourselves to it. So, you know, I don't think the criticism is justified.
Thank you, Mr. Golding. Dr. Holness now has...
I have to call out that the leader of the opposition is telling lies. Julian Robinson stood in Parliament and said he supported the increase. Clear, and the tapes are there. Secondly, he calls the increase unconscionable, yet he takes it. I, Andrew Michael Holness, did not take it. The option was available to him as well. I chose not to take it. The leader of the opposition says, I have 28 bank accounts. That is absolutely not true. The report of the Integrity Commission includes accounts that are closed, accounts that are dormant, insurance accounts, and investment accounts.
Thank you.
They have weaponized
Thank you, Dr. Holness. Our next question is from Dion Jax-Miller, and it goes to Dr. Holness.
Dr. Holness, in your 2016 manifesto, you said, quote, will make it mandatory that the appointment to sensitive posts be approved by a 2/3 majority in each House of Parliament, thereby requiring consensus between government and opposition. Now, the posts identified included the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions. Not only did you not implement this, but you disregarded the opposition's objections in the case of the recent extension, which led to a court case. Wasn't this a betrayal of the principle of bipartisanship that you had been proposing 9 years before?
Absolutely not. And indeed, in some instances, there are parliamentary review of sensitive positions. And I want to be also very clear that the constitutional reform process that we have put in place would take into consideration all of these proposals that were made. We cannot tinker with the Constitution, doing a little thing here and a little thing there, and therefore we decided to put it in a comprehensive process, again, which the opposition has thwarted. But since I have some time, let me also address some other issues about the leader of the opposition. In my own Integrity Commission report published in Parliament, there are no findings of corruption. All my assets are in Jamaica, and I have declared everything to the Integrity Commission. The leader of the opposition, however, also had a report from the Contractor General previously, which found that they benefited from public resources in an irregular way. They termed it a sweetheart deal. In my report, there is no such thing. None of my resources are ever connected to any public funds or any public resources. However, for the leader of the opposition, the report was very clear that their operations were considered to be irregular and a sweetheart.
Thank you, Dr. Holness. Mr. Golding has an opportunity to respond.
The Prime Minister has no interest in bipartisanship. He has strong dictatorial tendencies and really would prefer not to consult with the opposition at all if he didn't have to. And I say that based on my experience with him over the last 5 years. He talks about he didn't want to tinker with the Constitution. Then why did he seek to amend the Constitution as a one-off, tabling the bill and seeking to pass it on the same day to extend the DPP's tenure beyond what was constitutionally allowed? That was tinkering, Prime Minister, so come on. And in terms of Integrity Commission reports, my declarations have been certified every year as being proper. Yours have not, because you are under investigation for illicit enrichment.
Mr. Golding. Our follow-up question now, Dion Jax-Miller has indicated she'd like to use the first of her follow-up questions.
On the same issue of the DPP's appointment, Principal Dr. Holness doesn't require constitutional amendments, though. And if it is that you were committed to the principle of bipartisanship, why would you have rejected such strongly worded opposition coming from the opposition leader?
At the end of the day, this matter was taken to the court, and the courts decided, and the DPP was reinstated. I want to also clarify something that the leader of the opposition said. The investigations carried out by the Integrity Commission are at an end. I am not currently under any investigation. There were no findings of corruption or charges. The leader of the opposition continues to try to weaponize these things because that is the only crutch he has to stand on. I, Andrew Holness, am thoroughly transparent.
Thank you, Dr.
virtue
Holness.
of this
Thank you, Dr.
investigation.
Holness. Mr. Golding has the opportunity to respond.
Again, Andrew Holness is being disingenuous and tricky. The Integrity Commission referred his matters to the Financial Investigations Division, a law enforcement agency charged with investigating serious financial crimes, for further investigation. What was his response? When there was a vacancy at the head of it, he sought to appoint or influence the appointment of somebody who is his close personal friend and who had said publicly on nationwide radio that he didn't see anything wrong in the report on Mr. Holness's financial situation, the Integrity Commission's report. It was clearly a set-up job, and we feel that very strongly that this needs to be addressed.
Thank you, Mr. Golding. Our next question is from social media. I'm going to hand over to Amoy.
Malik on Facebook says, many Jamaicans feel the economic growth that's been reported hasn't lowered their grocery bills or electricity costs. How do you measure economic success beyond the statistics?
Dr. Holness has the opportunity to respond first.
The first measure is income. And 280,000 jobs have been created in Jamaica, which means that more Jamaicans have income. There is a rise in income. Let's look at the minimum wage. The Jamaica Labour Party government has tripled the minimum wage. So there are more Jamaicans earning more at the lower levels of our country. Further, access to basic amenities. 350,000 Jamaicans have access to potable water. And in our next term, we will ensure that the 900,000 Jamaicans which now don't have reliable or full access to water will have access to water. Transportation, public transportation. We have done an amazing job in reducing bus fares and increasing the convenience and efficiency of public transportation, including implementing a rural bus fare system. On electricity, we have reduced the GCT on electricity, a promise made by the previous government and not kept. We have done it in a sustainable way. But more importantly, we have not placed any new taxes on the people of Jamaica since our government has been managing the fiscal affairs of this country.
Mr. Golding has an opportunity to respond.
First of all, I think the question is sound because statistics don't tell the full picture. Jamaica's competitiveness has been falling, yet they say that we have record low unemployment. Several 100,000 Jamaicans are outside the labor force and are not measured for that purpose. And indeed, you're regarded as being employed if you're employed 1 hour a week. 55% of Jamaicans are suffering from food insecurity. That is what the United Nations says, the FAO, which is an agency of the UN, says. 55% of Jamaicans are not getting adequate nutrition. That is not consistent with prosperity or low poverty rates or low unemployment rates. As for transportation costs, those are extremely high for many Jamaicans, which is why we want to introduce the RIDE program, a subsidy for rural children to help them to get to school in an affordable way. It's $10,000 per child who needs it in each family. So if you have more than one child, each one of them would qualify for this, because we recognize that that is one of the causes of absenteeism in schools at the moment. As for electricity, the rate and cost of electricity under this government has gone way higher than where we left it at 23 cents per kilowatt hour. Now it's over 40. And as for the GCT, they are providing a subsidy at the moment, but they haven't said for how long, and there's no commitment to keep
Thank
it
you,
on.
Mr. Golding. We are now going to be taking a short break, and we invite you to stay tuned.
The general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Andrew knows same and do bad enough.
Every generation.
He knows he's doing horrible.
For 55 years, Sagicor has been helping Jamaica.
It will be a shame and disgrace across social media tomorrow.
We look forward to continuing that legacy of trust.
TikTok will be awash tomorrow with clips and crops of the Prime Minister speaking gibberish, telling lies.
One generation at a time.
It's really hard to keep up with Andrew Holness, but not telling a lie, because I don't know what he's talking about.
The decisions we make today. At the Scotia Jamaica Foundation,
I don't know what Andrew Holness is talking about. So I really cannot keep up with him.
It's a heartfelt
He
promise
is not
to the
in the
communities
room
we serve.
that
By
Mark Golden
empowering
is in.
individuals and organizations
Mark Golden
are
have beat him
revitalizing
on the integrity still, you know.
and creating a more sustainable
Every
world
lying
for
tell,
every future.
Mark Golden fact checking. Mark Golden come tonight prepared to fact check Andrew Holness. Every time him lie, Mark Golden fact checking, and that's very good. So people know the do say labor rights them don't leave confused. But he's as angry as we expect him to be. I mean, he wants to explode. That's why he keep either. And you notice he can barely, there's several questions where the clock finish on him and him don't answer the question because him don't know where he must say. And him just a buffle. They make the clock run. Andrew Holness.
No matter what.
No, these are the TVJ ads.
Like you, we
Not
take
TVJ,
pride
these are the
in building
debating
Jamaica.
commission
The
ads.
resilience of our
They are
people
going
cemented in
to
our
play
products, built to last
at
for
their
generations.
interval because of them
Laying the
sponsor the
foundation for
program.
thriving
These are not
communities,
like YouTube
we're
ads.
committed to excellence and
But
quality. Quality products.
me can't keep up
quality
with Andrew
relationships.
Holness, God
We're
knows.
all proud Jamaicans,
Because
working hard,
tomorrow, me
doing
know
good,
Dean Jackson are going to
building a
sit down and do a
sustainable
program
future
and
for all.
trash out the whole of the
That
lie them, you know.
same
But
unbeatable
I'm really
spirit
impressed
runs
by
through
Dean
us.
Jackson
We are
questions
ARC
tonight.
manufactured, made
Both of them
by
are asked some
Jamaica.
very good questions.
If you want
Both
$10,000 to spend this
panelists are
you spend it on
asking
something nice,
very
something
good
unforgettable.
questions, and they're zooming in and Andrew Holness integrity a lot as well, which is a good thing, which keeps the Prime Minister really irritated and annoyed. Let's hope
Invest in your future.
social media
Celebrate while you're at it.
steps it up
Promotion ends
a
September 14th.
gear.
Conditions apply.
We now hear the social there's them picking up on social media as well, where going after him integrity, but he's been battered.
Your job is to bring the water and keep us.
He's been battered. I mean, I tell you, it's only gonna get worse. But him and the labor rights them are gonna claim victory, just like President do. Sorry.
Every generation.
With the other debate, them they run around
For
and
55
claim
years,
victory,
Sagicor
all
has
when
been helping Jamaicans
everybody
realize
else
their
in the
dreams. As
media
we celebrate our past, we look
give it
forward
to the
continuing
PNP.
that legacy of
Of
trust,
course, the Prime Minister will run out
support and financial
and claim
solutions
victory tonight.
for the
But
next generation.
Prime Minister failed
Sagicor, building
and
trust,
lost the debate
one
from the
generation
first
at a
question
time.
he answered with a plethora of lies. But it's The
general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Scotiabank for every future. Kendall, the taste of quality.
Sagicor Group, building trust one generation at a time.
Flow, NCB, Arc Manufacturing, Water, JN Group, Lasco Chin Foundation, Pan Jamaica Group, Miss Birdie, H&L Homes, and VM Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Welcome back to the final segment of the Leaders Debate presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. We invite you, the public, to send us your questions via direct message on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to Jamaica Debates. Now, this segment actually begins with a follow-up question. Giovanni Dennis has indicated that he'd like to ask one of his follow-up questions, and that goes to Dr. Andrew Holness.
Dr. Holness, on the matter of your government's hostility towards accountability institutions, in a world where journalists reporting on the conflict in Gaza are being murdered, the constant attacks on the press in Jamaica by both political parties undermine press freedom and has been reflected in Jamaica's slippage on the World Press Freedom Index. We have just seen the release of the names of journalists that both political parties objected to participating in the national debates. Why do both parties continue to undermine press freedom and put journalists in danger?
To be clear, my political party does not undermine press freedom. To be clear, my political party did not object. The objections came from the PNP. And historically, it is the PNP that has been vociferous, including attacking a particular radio station. I personally have stayed away from any negative commentary about any journalists. Journalists are important, and I support strong journalism. And I want to make that absolutely clear. In the time I have, I will rebut. I am in no way associated with the head of the FID. My understanding is that the head of the FID is a friend.
Thank you, Dr. Holness. Thank you, Dr. Holness. Mr. Golding has the opportunity to respond.
Press freedom is a fundamental pillar on which democracy is based. And I and my party fully support press freedom. The Prime Minister said something which was untrue when he said that only our side objected to some journalists. Their side also objected. In fact, we objected to 3, they objected to 4 journalists. And the matter was eventually resolved, and here we are. And the truth is that some journalists in the country are not as independent as others, are not as professional as others, and it is quite legitimate to criticize persons who you don't feel are living up to the standards of their profession. But we would never do anything to threaten or undermine press freedom, or indeed to make any journalist feel unsafe. And if it ever happens, we'll take out whatever it needs to stop it happening.
Thank you, Mr. Golding. Our next question is from Dion Jackson Miller, and it goes to Mr. Golding.
Mr. Golding, Coswell Barnett is a blind Jamaican who is also a very experienced and very qualified teacher, but who was out of a job for 4 years. Now, your manifesto promises to protect the right of persons with disabilities. Those Jamaicans are disproportionately affected by poverty. Vision 2030 says that governments haven't been living up to a reserve a percentage of public sector jobs for persons with disabilities. That would have helped people like Mr. Barnett and others like him. Would a PNP government implement such a recommendation?
Thank you for that question, Dion. I come from a family that has delivered transformational national service to the country, in particular in the area of persons with disabilities. My father was the first orthopedic surgeon in Jamaica, and he established what was then the Polio Center, became the Mona Rehabilitation Center. And when he died in 1996, it was named after him. It's now called the Sir John Golding Rehab Center. He also established the Hope Valley Experimental School, a school for integrated education for able-bodied and children with disabilities. 2 parliamentarians went to that school, and he established the National Road Safety Council, because of his awareness of the fact that many people who end up with disabilities is as a result of road traffic accidents. I am and we are very committed to implementing the UN Convention for the Persons with Disabilities, which Jamaica was the first country in the hemisphere to sign. And we are the ones who passed the Disabilities Act, brought it to Parliament. This government took 7 years to bring it into effect. We're glad it's in effect, but it needs to be actualized now in practice so that persons with disabilities feel and see the benefits of it. We are fully committed to that, and we are going to establish a National Disabilities Fund to aid persons with disabilities so that they can have their assistive aids, they can get help to establish themselves in business at home, and improve sidewalks for their transportation. We are committed to the community of persons with disabilities.
Dr. Holness has the opportunity to respond.
To be clear, one of the things that I'm very proud of is that my administration has reserved under special orders through the NHD houses for persons with disability. They have a direct access. Under the new social housing program, we make it a point of duty to support persons with disabilities, and many persons with disabilities have benefited. Our administration have brought into effect the Disabilities Act. We continue to support the disabled community with grants and an increase in path benefits. Our government is committed to supporting persons with disability in Jamaica.
Dion Jax-Miller has indicated that she would like to take her second follow-up question.
Yes, Mr. Golding, we hear the broad statements of policy and principle, but what persons with disabilities want are jobs, which is why I'm asking specifically if your administration would implement a recommendation to reserve a certain percentage of public sector jobs for persons with disabilities.
Yes, we have committed to that across MDNAs, ministries, departments, and agencies, that we would like to see quotas or an allocation for the disabilities community to have the benefit of employment opportunities in the public sector. But we also recognize the need to ensure that those who have the capacity to deliver services or to make things at home are empowered to do so. And that's why we have the National Disabilities Fund, which we will establish to help them to get a start in life in the area of business and fulfill their talents and monetize their talents so they can uplift themselves and their families from their homes. So yes, we're fully on board with the idea that you mentioned, Jan.
Dr. Holness, to rebut?
Most definitely. We will do that, and we will do more. In fact, at the Office of the Prime Minister, we do make it a point of duty to ensure that persons with disabilities are employed at the Office of the Prime Minister, and we will give that directive, if it is not already in effect, to all the ministries. But more than that, people with disabilities want to be independent, and they want to work independently, many of them. And we, through various initiatives, including through the various development funds that we have, will provide resources to persons with disability so that they can start their own businesses. And I think that is really the critical thing, to ensure that our persons with disability are independently earning income.
Our next question still goes to Dr. Holness, and it comes from Giovanni Dennis.
Dr. Holness, communities like Charlemont, Birdsucker, Acadia, and many others across the corporate area have complained and have taken the government to court for inadequately regulated developments. Justice Hart Hines, in a 2021 ruling, said the KSAMC and NEPA have been dilatory in their mandate to enforce local planning laws and regulations. In December 2021, he said work was being done to restructure the entire approval process. Yet the issues persist. Why isn't more being done to force the KSAMC and the NEPA to do their jobs to enforce the building regulations?
When that comment was made, the situation was as you have said. Since then, there have been significant improvement in enforcement, and including a new planning order for Kingston and St. Andrew, which clarifies many of the issues that were in contention, including we have included more inspection officers at the KSAMC, and there are more cases now being brought to court which are being prosecuted. So there has been an improvement. However, I believe that there is still much more work to be done in terms of increasing the enforcement capabilities. And yes, there are some legislative changes that need to be clarified, particularly as to how titles are issued and how densities are approved.
Mr. Golding has the opportunity to respond.
Since the People's National Party assumed the leadership in the council of the KSAMC, the new Mayor Andrew Swaby has been pursuing internal governance reform, including persons from outside to try and improve standards and processes, make them more transparent and effective, so that the citizens of the corporate area can expect higher levels of governance. I think it's unfortunate that in the case of Mr. Holness and his wife, they are in the business of real estate development, or certainly she is, and that presents serious conflicts of interest which have manifested themselves in some of their own schemes that they have developed. I think we need to have rules which preclude that kind of activity so that there's no question of conflicts of interest.
We've come to the point in the debate when the debaters get an opportunity to ask each other questions. We begin, we invite Mr. Golding to ask a question of Dr. Andrew Holness.
Mr. Holness, the Integrity Commission in their court filing in the case that you brought to try and strike down the act and eliminate the offense for which you are being investigated, have said that you had money in the Ponzi scheme Olint and you got it out, while others suffered losses. You had money in Cash Plus, another Ponzi scheme where people lost lots of money, you got it out. And of course, you had money in SSL and you were able to withdraw your money before it collapsed. In fact, I would say the only person that Usain Bolt has not been able to catch up with is you. And I want to ask you, how do you think and why do you think the people of Jamaica should trust you to be in charge of the governance of the country for a third term with that track record and with that cloud hanging over your head?
The leader of the opposition is a liar and cannot be trusted. I lost money in Cash Plus and Olint. However, the PNP accepted and received $1 million from Olint. He has no credibility to talk about Ponzi scheme. They benefited from the Ponzi scheme to fund their election campaign. He questions my wife's integrity about development. My wife and my family are hardworking Jamaicans. We started off with the taxes like many other Jamaicans, and I have worked hard. He has sought to weaponize that.
Inside,
but the people who receive me when I go into the country, they say, Andrew, don't worry. No weapon formed against you shall prosper.
Mr. Golding, your rebuttal.
I've made the point that for the Prime Minister and his wife to be in the real estate business when so many of the agencies of government which regulate that business fall under his ministry of economic development and job creation creates the possibilities for conflicts of interest, and I stick by that position.
We now invite Dr. Andrew Holness to ask a question of Mr. Mark Golding.
The leader of the opposition speaks about integrity and trust. He was an advisor to a former Minister of Finance that put in place a policy of high interest rate, for which he acted as a broker for the government to invest loans and bonds for which he received a commission of high interest rate, to the point where one of his members described this as the greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich. He, the Topanaris lawyer, has made billions of this, yet he does not disclose this in his integrity report. In fact, he doesn't even have a house in Jamaica. How can we believe you? And do you have assets in overseas companies for which you have not disclosed?
I've disclosed all my assets, and that's why my Integrity Commission declarations are certified. Your allegations are scurrilous and false. You made reference to DBNG, although you didn't call the name. DBNG was established in 1992 as an investment firm by 3 young Jamaican entrepreneurs. When the financial sector meltdown occurred some years later, and FinSAC was established as a response to try and protect the savers of this country so they didn't lose their money in their deposits in the banking system and their pensions and so on, DBNG, like other financial firms at the time, had to navigate that carefully to survive. We eventually were approached by a leading international bank, Scotiabank, who did a thorough due diligence on the company. It's a listed company where we were a listed company from inception. Our audited financial statements are public. Our quarterly financial statements are public. They looked at us inside out and upside down, found nothing, absolutely nothing untoward, and they bought the company. And we have nothing to hide on when it comes to DBNG. I would say, why is your government, having spent $200 million on this Commission of Inquiry into FinSAC, hiding the FinSAC report? Is it because you and your wife bought a house from somebody who had been FinSAC'd? You're a hypocrite, Andrew Holness, to be accusing me of anything in relation to FinSAC when you have been a direct beneficiary of the losses of somebody who was FinSAC, who lost their home because of FinSAC.
Again, you go to attacking my wife. When you, according to the Contractor General's report, benefited from a sweetheart deal that was irregular. You benefited off the backs of the Jamaican people in creating your wealth. You were a connected party with the then Minister of Finance, and you advised and created the FinSAC debacle with high interest rate. You did FinSAC. I did not purchase a FinSAC house. I bought a house on the open market. And again, you come with weaponized lies. Your lies will not work.
We now go to closing statements. Now, based on the earlier coin toss, Mr. Mark Golding of the PNP will go first.
The general election next week, Wednesday, presents a historic opportunity for the people of Jamaica. After 13 and a half years of belt tightening and austerity, we are finally in a situation where the debt to GDP ratio has achieved or is on the cusp of achieving the 60%, which was written into the fiscal rules by Portia Simpson Miller. That means that the fiscal rules and prudent economic management can change gear and look at how we can grow the economy and build a society with a better quality of life for all. We see some serious issues that need to be addressed. 700,000 Jamaicans or thereabouts live on public land, lands where they've built their homes, but they don't have titles. The colonial era law set the period as 60 years of occupation before they can get ownership. We are going to reduce that to 25 years. We're going to give them titles. And that is going to unlock over $1 trillion of wealth, which is now sealed up and quarantined in the old colonial era law that is still on the books. That is why also we're increasing the threshold to 3.5 million. So working families who are struggling to make ends meet can get a little break so they can live a better life. It's why we're going to be removing the tax from the overtime pay of workers earning up to $6 million so they can make it easier in life as well. And when I govern the country as Prime Minister to serve you, I will ensure that accountability and transparency are at the center of what we do, and any hanky-panky, any violation of the public trust will be met with the full force of the law with no protection from me. And that is a huge difference between the government I will lead and the government of Andrew Holness. That is why I'm asking you, on Election Day, next Wednesday, vote for the People's National Party. Put your ex beside the head. Time come for a better life.
We now invite Dr. Andrew Holness of the JLP to go ahead with your closing statement.
The administration that I lead on your behalf has cut the debt in half. We have created 280,000 new jobs, brought in 85,000 persons into the labor force. We have tripled the minimum wage. We have cut murders by 55% over the last 3 years. You have had no new taxes to worry about. This administration has taken on the previously thought of impossible to solve problems, and we have solved them. We are an administration of performance. In our next term, our pensioners who have worked so hard will get a break. Those earning $6 million or below will pay no income tax. We will give a new income tax rate, which will be graduated, which will see everyone paying lower taxes. You will see 60,000 more houses being brought on the market, with 15% of them dedicated to young people. We will give incentives to developers to build houses for young people. You will see a new transportation system for rural school children coming into being. You will see more work being done on reducing electricity. Our government is a government of performance. This election is about a clear choice. Promise or performance. That's what it is. You have to make a decision. Who can deliver? It is this administration that has taken on the difficult problems, and we have delivered for you. I ask you on election day to vote for what is best for Jamaica. Vote for a government that performs. Vote for the Jamaica Labour Party.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Holness. Thank you, Mr. Golding. In the good spirit of the debates, we now invite Dr. Holness and Mr. Golding to shake hands. And now we can breathe. That concludes the leadership debate between party leader Dr. Andrew Holness, representing the Jamaica Labour Party, and party leader Mr. Mark Golding, representing the People's National Party. Our sincere thanks to both party leaders and all the debaters. This was the final debate in the 2025 General Election Debate Series. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to our studio audience, our production crew, production and funding partners, and most of all, our viewers and listeners all across Jamaica and the diaspora. I am Archibald Gordon. Good night.
Oh. Andrew Holness lost the debate at the first question. Andrew lost at the first question. We want to stick around for 5 minutes to see if me have seen an analysis from Steve and I hear what them are going to say about tonight leaders debate. But me I tired. I wonder if come people no come jump to analysis now. But we in a social media land, we know Mark Golding won.
Edition National Debates Vibe. We're talking to our in-studio panelists, and we have Mr. Marlon Morgan of the Jamaica Labour Party's Communication Task Force. We have Roger Bent. He is a political commentator. And we also have Mr. Atkins from Jade, who will be helping us to dissect what we just saw. In addition to that, we are rejoined by Carla Ramdeen, our in-studio assistant, with our in-studio audience. They've been riled up, fired up, excited, all the other things. But high-intensity debate. And I want to start with Mr. Morgan. Your interpretation of what just happened. Who won? Who would you say and why?
All right, so just to be clear, as we saw just now in the debate, there are some issues that the Jamaican people at home and in the diaspora, would have wanted to hear probed, but the debate is limited to the questions and the issues that actually emanated from the questions posed by the panel of questioners, including, of course, the social media questions. Now, we did get a range of leadership-related and governance-type issues, particularly issues concerning the architecture of Jamaica, issues concerning, of course, accountability in public office, and you heard some other matters having to do with economic prescription and economic program proposals, not least the 3.5 threshold on the part of the PNP, and the GLP is 15%. For me, all in all, the debate was a useful and spirited one. Perhaps too many of the, an overkill, as it were, in terms of some of the attempts at, personal attacks. You would have heard Mr. Atkins earlier for warning, as it were, about the ad hominem, because there's a segment of the viewership who consider those things as detracting, as it were, from some of the issues that the people really want to hear about and the issues that people want to really care about. But in the main, for me, the clear and distinct winner of the debate is Andrew Michael Holness. He in keeping with what I have noted here as the issues I want to hear about in the debate and what I want to glean from the debate, has exhibited a command of the issues, a grasp of the issues. He has set out, to the extent that the questions afforded him so to do, a vision for Jamaica's development and transformation. You heard him trotting out issues in relation to skills training for young people. And of course, he mentioned the technology park. He mentioned coding, such things as, the jobs that will yield higher paying jobs, the things that will yield higher paying jobs. So Holness is the winner for me. Mark Golding came with, a clear agenda to delve into propaganda and, of course, peddle falsehoods on the national stage. And those things were called out, as it were, by Mr. Holness, including the allegation that Mr. Holness purchased a home from a person who was fin-sacked, not Nagoso, in plain and clear Jamaican terms.
All right, Mr. Bent, I don't know how you're going to choose your winner, but hold on the winner and so forth. For now,
which is good.
Yes.
Yeah, which is good. In debating, there's something called early call.
All right.
And my early call really is it's even Stevens. Maybe after discourse, we can do another weighting, but right now it's pretty even.
Yeah,
no, I think overall, I'm not disappointed. I'm excited. It was a wonderful intellectual debate. Both men sparred. They shared their visions and their ideas, and it was really and truly good to hear them. They both sounded confident. They both sounded as if they know what they're talking about. They have earned their spaces as leaders of their separate parties.
Did these debates in any way sway, do you perceive, Mr. Atkins? React. Just react. Tell me what you felt, what you saw, what you learned.
Honestly, it was a debate that I think clarified for me the integrity, I'd say, first of all, and the character of a lot of the both leaders, actually. In terms of will it sway a lot of people, I think Mark Golding really outdid himself. And I think that is something that would probably sway a few people, I guess. In terms of the issues being discussed, though, I'd agree with Mr. Bent. I am still very on the fence. I don't think I was particularly swayed. I'm literally torn right now.
You see, if I may, just to also speak to that issue, Mark Golding came into this debate fighting a cultural war, right? There's an unsaid issues about his ability to relate to people, because of his color, his wealth, etc., his ability to assimilate culturally with the Jamaican, etc., etc. I think he's responded to that. I think he's covered that, issues with his duality and all those things, he's covered it. So I think he's really given himself a brilliant platform here.
I think I have to venture a comment.
Hold on, let me see if we find not now going over TVJ.
Of not answering the question, but they both stuck to their script, and it was a respectable debate. I would say, if I were to compare it with debates on this side of the pond, certainly that debate was far more respectful in terms of for leadership of a country.
You think feathers were barely ruffled?
Well, the responses didn't result in shouting. There was grandstanding and, of course, pointing. We are Jamaicans. We love point fingers, right?
Yes.
A lot of finger pointing, but I thought it was still composed and respectable.
Let me go over to Jamelia Maitland. She has some responses from our friends on social media. You send your responses to hashtag TVJ Debates 2025, also responses from Facebook. Let's see what we have there, Jamelia. All right, she will come on in just a moment. So let's just go and queue up for those who've missed it. One of the first in the opening, the question from social media on the corrupt practices. That one went to Andrew Holness. and his response, and then Mark Golding's rebuttal, bringing in a matter that has been discussed quite heavily, this issue of 28 bank accounts. Let's go to that question and answer.
This instance, the question, you have 90 seconds to answer, and we begin with Dr. Holness.
Corruption is a serious problem in our country, and corruption requires strong leadership. From my position as Prime Minister, I have taken action against any member of my political party that has been involved or accused of anything that suggests corruption. In my own case, I have been investigated for a year with an expert forensic auditor. The findings of that report have suggested no corruption. There have been no charges. Every aspect of my report, every aspect of my personal life and my personal financial details are in the public domain. I am the politician about which Jamaica knows the most. And therefore, I am the politician who can stand with the greatest moral authority to treat with any matter that is considered corrupt, as I have done in the past. And I want to give this assurance to the Jamaican people that you know me, you know about me, you can trust me, and you know that I stand against corruption.
Mr. Golding has the opportunity to respond to that social media question as well.
Andrew, what they know about you is that you have 28 bank accounts, that you received several $1 million in cash deposits from anonymous donors in your bank account, that your companies had transactions of over $400 million, several thousand transactions between them, and that positive.
Welcome to the audio. Our CVM lose internet. No CVM TVJ. Anyway, globalists, may I go to bed because no they have to analyze
the Prime Minister.
Hold on there.
So the whole question that has been asked is an excellent question. And we really need to step up our vigilance against corrupt behavior, nepotism, and cronyism. The volume of scandals under this Jamaica Labour Party government is unprecedented. Over the number of ministers who have had to be removed from frontline duty, many of them parked in the naughty corner in OPM rather than being sacked. It is a disgrace to the country, and your personal situation where you're operating under a deep cloud because your Integrity Commission declarations are not certified also is something which Jamaica cannot go forward with.
That was part of the first salvo. Tell me about that particular moment, Jermaine Barrett, the commencement of the rebuttal by Mark Golding.
So I think Mark Golding raises some very, very important concerns having to do with the Prime Minister. There is a deadlock. Yes, Jamaicans are being pulled to and fro. I think what would help us to resolve the deadlock, for example, is if the Integrity Commission would come out and reveal the independent audit report that they would have gotten, that the Prime Minister alleges sort of revealed that there's nothing to see here.
In the face of the court challenge, remember, there's a court case going on, you know, and it has been disclosed.
Right. But I'm still curious to understand why was that not revealed to begin with? It's taxpayers' money that paid for it, and people of Jamaica have an obligation, a responsibility rather, to see the full evidence. And so I'm troubled by the fact that this matter has been allowed to extend as long as it has. People are just sick and tired of the allegations and counter allegations. I think it needs to be settled quickly.
Yes, Jodianne, on that point.
I thought that it was two people who were giving half an answer to that social media question. The question was about low voter turnout, people refusing to vote because they believe that both parties are corrupt. You answer half the question. So they've both zoomed in and focused on the corruption point with as we had spoken about earlier, Mark Golding using this as an opportunity to hammer in now some of the stories that have made their way around seeking to harm Andrew Holness in this debate. He later on comes back in the debate and speaks about those 28 bank accounts. But the presence in that moment of Mark Golding speaking about them certainly then doesn't allow for Andrew Holness, because he's the person that went first, to go back and immediately rebut, which leaves for many people Mark Golding having left something on the table for persons to go, the parked in the naughty corner comment with persons not being removed from government, but instead put in the office of the Prime Minister is a serious thing that the Prime Minister hadn't responded to and hadn't moved back on. And we saw then an opposition leader being able to throw bombshells and not have any response back in ways that damage the Prime Minister.
But in terms of the naughty corner, is that actually true? Are there ministers parked there without?
So the idea is it is not fact. It is the appearance of fact enough to damage your opponent.
Unanswered.
And so because the Prime Minister does not at any point in time in this debate touch that, but he does go back to the 28 bank accounts, he leaves something on the table then unanswered.
Yes. Let me hear your thoughts on this, Granville.
Yeah, and I think looking at the entire debate, this is what for me was one of the deciding questions that will help to determine who the winner of the debate will be, because there are so many unanswered questions here, especially when it comes down to the point of rebuttal. Rebuttals are very important. Let me just say this: in terms of throat, in terms of structure and delivery and tone, they were evenly matched. So for me, the debate came down to the content and the rebuttals, right? And in this matter, the outgoing Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, he failed to rebut most of the accusations brought on by his opposition. He addressed the 20 bank accounts, good.
Later on.
Yes, later on. But he did not address the $400 million in donation. He did not address the other things that were brought up. And in a debate, you can't allow issues like those to be unresolved. You're literally giving your opponent the points and say, that is wrong, but that may be true.
Right. Dr. McAlpin.
It's not a debate driven by a moot. So let us be clear. It's driven by the questions asked. And of the 18 questions, the leader of the opposition brings in corruption about 10 of his responses. So the hammering home of corruption, I think at this point in the cycle, is not going to be of that significant consequence. I wanted him to talk about his vision for Jamaica, and the hammering almost to make himself saint-like on the perspective of corruption, because he also didn't answer quite a few of the allegations concerning bank accounts or assets that he holds. And I think both of them waffled because the matter of corruption is a problem on both sides.
Right.
Certainly the JLP is on the back foot, so they have to respond more. But I think in many ways, the deciding factor both for the debate and both for the elections is not going to be the question of corruption or non-corruption.
Well,
it's a question of who persons feel can run the country better.
But this is the first segment of the debate, though, Dr. McAlpin, and a social media question came about corrupt parties. This is a social media question.
Yes.
And in fact, how the Prime Minister interpreted it, that it's not only about his administration, but what he did was to skillfully put himself to say, in my own case, because he knows that there are questions about corruption over him. So how can you make the point that it is perhaps not a big issue when it is a big question in the first segment of the debate, and he spoke of his administration and interposed himself in the answer when he came back? I think Granville wants to take that, and then I'll come back to you.
No, but the question was directed to me.
All right, sorry, go right ahead. Sorry, go right ahead. You'll come back.
Yes, so certainly I think it is important. I'm saying that is not the basis on which the election will be decided. I think we have elevated corruption to being far more consequential when, as a society, we have been permissive with corruption. And in most instances, we like to talk about unilateral corruption, about corrupt politicians, but in many ways, we are not assessing that even when we talk about the transparent international rankings, it's a perception of corruption. And so I think we are far overplaying this item of corruption. That's my perspective.
Let me hear Granville Knight.
Okay, so I'm not saying that corruption is the issue or determining factor in this debate. I'm saying that this question that was asked was a deciding factor in this debate. And let me explain. When asked a question as to pretty much why there's no vote, yes, they did not address the voting question, but Sir Holness made a lot of I statements. I have it here, a lot of I statements. While in Mark's response and answering the question, he said, one, we have made legislation, we have signed code of conduct which the opposition have not signed. So it's we have an intent to publicize our commission reports in the future. So what we're looking for the answer for this debate question is, what are the policy proposals? What will make people want to vote? And that is why I said that this for me was one of those questions in this debate, not a matter of corruption, do not twist my words, is a determining factor in this debate tonight, not the election.
Let me take a break. Stay with us. It's a post-debate analysis. More to come.
Journalist, may I go bed? Mark Golding won the debate. Mark Golding did excellent, as we expected. Andrew was as angry as we expected. Andrew tell as much lies as we expected. Andrew Holness was a failure, as we expected. Thank you very much for being here with us tonight on the final leg of the debate. All 3 rounds go to the People's National Party. Thank you all. Thank you. And see you in the morning, where we'll continue to look at the analysis in the morning. But it was a loss, a colossal loss for Andrew Holness. Thank you very much, and good night from Global TV.
If you don't like missing out on the latest shows but still enjoy classic hits, then Global TV Group 358 is your perfect match. Global TV Group 358 isn't just another channel, it's your ultimate TV experience. From breaking news to binge-worthy dramas and timeless classics, we've got it all. Our unique blend of original content and global favorites means there's something for everyone. And guess what? With GTVG's seamless streaming, you can watch anywhere, anytime. Plus, our interactive features let you be part of the action. So, whether you're a seasoned binge watcher or a casual viewer, Global TV Group 358 is here to keep you entertained day and night. Don't just watch TV, experience it with Global TV Group 358. Subscribe now and never miss a moment.